All right, here we go. Oh, wow. That was good.
Yeah.
I pulled an Ian. That was like perfect. All right. We are in studio today. It is Saturday. You know what time it is. It is Technology Rocks here in Studio Rocks, and we are here in the flesh. Well, one of us is. Two of us are. Ian is in studio. Ray is. Ray.
AWOL.
He's Ray. Mr. IMAX is AWOL. I'm not sure if it's travel fatigue or maybe Odyssey fatigue. We'll probably take a little bit of Odyssey. I was hoping he would be here so we could pick his brain about Odyssey. But Byron is somewhere by the sea cruising. He is the man in the boat today.
In the flesh.
He is cruising in the Gulf Coast, somewhere in the middle of the Gulf Coast somewhere, doing his thing.
Tropical storm.
Byron, we still got you?
Tropical storm Byron.
Here, baby.
All right, Byron is in the house, and we are here.
Yeah, that would be bad. That would be real bad, dude.
Yeah.
Well, at least you're not Taco Bell, Byron.
That's true.
That is definitely true. Look, we ain't got. That's what I was telling my wife. It's like we ain't got to worry about the exploding lettuce on the boat because we've been isolated for 7 days, so we good.
True. Yeah. Now,
Well, icebergs are always a problem if you're on a cruise.
yes, iceberg's always a problem when you're in a cruise. But apparently, what does this mean? They're telling you to eat chocolate now and not eat vegetables. This is like a dream come true, right? So
Chocolate's definitely good for you.
yeah, no. So they're telling
they're
telling you to not eat vegetables now, which it's like great. I don't eat vegetables anyway. It's all
Well, they've narrowed it down
have a bunch
to
of people bouncing off the walls because of the sugar intake.
yeah. So all right. So we are here, coming down from the last weekend. Serenity Sips had their open mic, packed house last weekend.
which was pretty damn good.
Yeah, no, there were a lot of good acts there that did their thing, and then there's going to be another open mic next month as well, where we're going to do some more added things and all of those things. So
Perhaps we can remember the words.
perhaps we can remember the word. Yes, so I did perform. For those of you that weren't there, special shout out to Jeannie and Lyle. They were there, so if Byron hadn't been cruising and Ray hadn't been doing, I don't know what Ray was doing. I think he was still in Ireland,
London.
or recovering from all of that. I think
he was in London.
I think he's recovering from severe time disarrayment at
Jet
the moment.
lag.
Yeah. And all the UK travels and stuff. But yeah, no, it was fun. I got to blow the dust off some old tunes and kind of got back into that wheelhouse. It was pretty fun to make a cameo appearance at that, and that's going to be a special venue, guys. So if you haven't checked it out yet, anytime Serenity Sips is doing an event, the Piggott music thing is big. You know, it's I've never played a venue. I've played lots of venues. I haven't played a venue that's where it caters to live music like this venue, and respect to the artist, and just where an artist can feel free and vulnerable enough to play original music instead of just the standard cover stuff that you normally hear at the bars. So it was a lot of fun. We had a good time.
Promising new talent.
Yeah, a lot of younger folks that were doing their thing, and it was different. It was kind of a different vibe. So this is the first time they actually moved it into the event center, so people were playing on stage. And I'm telling you, when you're on a stage, it's a sink or swim feeling, because it's when they did the original version, or versions 1, 2, it was in the coffee shop, so it was more like a live. It was just like you were in a coffee shop in the corner playing music. This time the spotlight's on you. It's a dimly lit room, and it's more of a, you're the focal point, you're the performer. So
I don't think it's quite the same pressure as if you were up on a stage in
it's
a
not
big venue. I mean,
it's like a junior version of that, you know, because I have been on those stages before, and
it's like the people there aren't judging you. They've just come to listen to music, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent.
Right.
You know,
That's what I said about the we had these bands on the cruise ship. You know, it's like if you're an up and coming artist, man, you come to a cruise ship, you ain't never got to worry about selling the crowd out because people gonna come because they ain't got nothing else to do.
They got nothing else to do, and that's the thing is and I've been on larger stages like that, and what's actually interesting is it's actually less nerve-wracking to play on a giant stage than it is on this stage. And the reason why is when you're on a larger stage like that, you can't see anything.
You can't see the audience.
You can basically see from me to you, in the studio, and that's it. So it's like you're playing for 2 or 3 people. This stage is definitely more intimate, but you can somewhat see what's going on through the crowd. But what was so interesting, and I was talking to David about this just yesterday, is that the audience is so locked in. You know what I mean? And at a concert, they're not really locked in. They're drinking beer. They're, everybody's going to the bathroom or coming back in. So there's a lot of what kicks your ADHD into overdrive. But in this venue, it's like everybody is eerily locked in and listening. Even the dogs that were there. Yeah, no, and it's just a fun time. So Picket Music next month, they're already working on the chains and ropes and cattle prods for next month to get me out there to play again. And then David and I were actually talking about maybe even a solo thing where he and I are going to just be the headliner of it, less an open mic thing, more,
a gig,
more of a gig type of thing where it's kind of a dinner and a show scenario. So
and Justin didn't tell you I got him a job on the cruise ship playing in the band, one man band on a cruise ship. Yeah. What's funny about that is there's a different act every night. It's fine. I used to. One of my clients was actually a lounge singer on a cruise ship. He lives in actually Ian's neighborhood. It's only 30 minutes, though. Each show is only like 30 to 45 minutes.
And thank God for that, because I've played sets in some of these bars that were like 6 to 11 o'clock, and that is a long set.
Yeah.
That is an incredibly long set. I mean, yeah, there's 30-minute breaks. You've got a couple breaks in between. So it's like an hour break. So instead of a 4-hour set, it's more like a 3-hour set. But that is a wickedly long set for that type of stuff. But yeah, so we're doing our thing. Ian was talking about, he and I were actually talking about, there's this interesting rumor that's circulating Facebook about, actually, no, before we get to that, I want to get to something else. A lot of you guys have reached out on YouTube. Thank you for that. Our YouTube Kaleidescape stuff has gotten a lot of traction. You can find us on YouTube. Give us a shout out on Instagram at Technology Rocks. Our parent company is Define Audio Video, so you can also find us there if you're trying to get in touch with one. If you're trying to get in touch with one of the 3 of us or 4 of us, or 3 of us, because Ray doesn't have Facebook. You can find us on Technology Rocks, ROX. So it's spelled just like the radio show is spelt. But a lot of you guys have reached out about time frame on the Strato K, meaning if you've ordered from another vendor and you're trying to figure out about your order and things like that. Here's the thing. I'm going to go on the record. I am not going to help you cancel an order with a different vendor. I can't do that. I'm not going to, I can do that, but I'm not going to do that. That is unscrupulous of us to do things like that. That's hurting another business. I wouldn't do that. Even if you paid more for it, I still wouldn't do it. In most cases, you guys want a deal, so you're paying less for it. But I wouldn't do it that way because I would hope that somebody wouldn't do that to us. So here's what I'll say. Kaleidescape is elated that there is a buzz about this product. We knew when we were talking about it, even before having the official interview released, that it was going to be a historical, monumental product to be released. We knew that we did not know that they didn't have enough inventory to supply the immediate demand for this box. Because all we were told is, we've got orders, they're ready to ship, So I know people that place their order even 3 to 4 days after the product launch, and they're just now getting their product, which now the product has been out almost 3 weeks now, 3.5 weeks now, because we did 3 shows on it. So almost a month the product's out.
The information was limited until a couple of weeks ago.
Right, exactly. So what I would say is be patient with your vendors. If you want to know about your order, we're happy to help try to get information about your order, but your vendor is being 100% dead accurate. I know I have them on order at the moment, and even the ones I have on order haven't made it in yet. And I'll put it this way. They are not even fulfilling demo order at the moment because they want to fulfill client orders first. That's standard protocol with any product launch that they're doing at the moment. So just keep that in mind, that we're just as excited about the Strato K as you are. Your dealer is just as excited about you receiving your order as you are. And because, so just chill. It's going to happen. It's going to come. It's going to get here. We know that it can't get here fast enough. Trust me, even the dealers that want to order them for themselves know that it can't get here fast enough. All product orders must be fulfilled before your dealer can demonstrate it, unless your dealer cheated and said it was for a client and then put it in their showroom. There's that too. So, but what I would say is, if you're reaching out to us on YouTube, we're happy to try to help facilitate information on that. But if you just ordered it within the last week, it's going to be a few weeks. It's going to be a 2 to 3 week wait. I've even heard as far as 6 week wait. That's all we know, gents. Ladies and gentlemen. So that's all we know on that particular product and what's going on. And this is, yes, it's a normal wait time. Yes, they sold. I mean, they were sold out in 2 days.
Yeah,
gone. That's the first time in history of Kaleidescape that's ever happened.
Well, when Matt came in, he brought one, and I thought, he's brought one for us for the store, for the demo.
Right.
I was like, no, he had to take it away again because they just weren't enough to go around.
There's not enough to go around. He's going to bring his back to the store because we are going to film a side-by-side comparison of a Strato C, Strato E, and Strato K, all across 3 screens, where we're going to do a split screen on it.
But are you going to see the difference?
Sure, absolutely. You saw the difference.
Yes, I know, but that's with my eyes. Once you put it onto a digital,
that's Jarvis.
format.
That's Jarvis territory. That's going to be the magic of what he does with his cinematography.
If he can record it in 4K chroma,
he can
444.
He can record it in 8K.
But once you put it on YouTube, it doesn't matter whether it's 4K or 8K. You're just not going to have the same color separation that you get in real life,
right?
On the screen when you're watching it.
No, there will be. Well, it's like listen to my audio system on YouTube. You're not going to hear anything but distortion, like somebody filming a rock concert. So here's what I'll say. If you're waiting for your Strato K, please be patient with your vendor. Be nice. They're doing the best they can to get orders facilitated. Kaleidescape is doing the best they can to get orders out the door. Be nice to your vendor. Don't cancel your order. Because here's the thing. If you cancel your order, you're just going to have to get in line again. Yeah, if you were to cancel your order right now that you put in 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago.
And you lose that 2 weeks.
Then you lose the 3 weeks or 2 weeks. Right. You got to start all over.
And
because
it's not like
there's not like I can do anything different than what your vendor is already
It's not a limited edition. They're not going to just say, we were only ever going to make 50,000 of them, and once that's done, it's done. They're going to keep making it while people want it.
Right. Correct. Yeah. So Kaleidescape has now announced that they have reached 200 4K cinematic titles. When we first started this process of Strato K coverage, it was 150 titles. Now then it went to 180 titles when we were with Matt. Now they're up to 200 titles. So they are literally converting titles every day. Now, don't think of this as a conversion process. It's not. They're going back to the point of origin. They're getting the 444, and they're basically giving it to you in 444 now, is what they're doing. We were told a little bit of an interesting tidbit on the 8K stuff. The 8K is not going to be in 444, which I thought was Interesting. So the 8K.
Well, the machine is capable of handling the 444 on 4K, but it just wouldn't be able to at 8K. So they're sticking to the
422. Yeah.
Yeah. So does that mean?
I don't know.
Does that mean 8K is going to be any better or any worse?
Don't know, because it's. Do you want more color palette or do you want more clarity? But again, 8K doesn't exist yet, so you can watch an 8K demo through Kaleidescape. But as Ian pointed out 3 shows ago, which was the Strato K show, that you must have either a JVC projector or a Samsung TCL or a Hisense 8K television to play this. So to play this demo.
Did I really miss 2 shows?
Yes, you did. 4th of July weekend.
4th of
you
July,
were out.
yeah. That was when Mr. Piggott was.
And then you went to Woot last
thing.
week.
I went to Woot.
You were the Woot. Tell us about the Woot thing. What was all this Woot thing?
Oh, they've started doing They started it last year, which was their 21st birthday. It's a subsidiary of Amazon. They were bought out by Amazon. They started in 2004. It's just a daily deal site, basically. But they've started doing this thing, and the birthday party was in Woodville, which is only an hour and a half away. So I thought, why not? So I went up there and had fun, met some people that I've conversed with on a forum. It was a jolly good day, and we got more crap because they like to vend. They have vending machines with boxes of crap. So
yeah. Ian, you got more crap.
I've got a house full of crap. But it's useful because...
Just what Ian needs is more crap.
It kind of gives you those white elephant gifts or office party gifts or things that you can give to people at Christmas.
Yes, Ian has more crap, just what Ian needs.
And he has $400 toilets to house that crap.
Yes.
Was that the guys with the fart gun?
That was the Minions. Yes, that was the Minions. All right, so Ian spent his time on Woot. We talked about being nice with Strato K. Byron is working on his mini beast, as he refers it to. Before we get into that, because that gets a little technical, and we probably won't peel off that for a minute, but let's talk about Ian. Ian came across an interesting article that was talking about the resurgence.
Yeah, it's not so much an article as
of CDs.
Facebook
head
headlines.
phonesty is what there's this thing called head phonesty or head phonesty or whatever. Yeah.
I just found an interesting article that's talking about it. You know, is there a resurgence in CDs? And it's not so much a resurgence, but there is definitely an uptick in sales, but it's still not approaching the levels of vinyl resurgence, if that's the right word. And it's not so much down to people wanting to buy CDs. I still buy CDs if the artist is producing them, but it's more like we were talking about earlier. You're supporting the band if you're buying a CD,
right?
But
you're not supporting the band if you buy the CD used.
But so I have a nice
somebody
collection.
did.
I have a nice collection of CDs, but they're all digitized or they're available on Amazon Music. So I don't necessarily listen to the CDs, but I buy them, especially if it's a local band that I like. If you were to produce something, I would buy your CD or vinyl or both.
At least that lets me know if I have.
But
I at least have.
See the
one
benefits
CD
of that.
sale
Like if
out
I
there.
go to Do-Si-Do, see a local band playing there, as I have done a few occasions, they will sell vinyl or CD or both at the end, and you can get it signed. That's the benefit.
Yeah, no, and that's so. Here's the fun thing about what you're talking about. There's a huge pisser that people are pissed off at Sony at the moment because Sony has decided that its new generation of PlayStation is not going to include a disc drive. The one thing that gets ignored is that Sony is going to sell an external disc drive for that PlayStation for people that want to enjoy that media. But they also said in one final swoop that they are no longer going to produce Blu-ray disc. Guys, if you were looking for the writing on the wall that movies are going to cease on Blu-ray, then this is the company that created Blu-ray. They own Blu-ray. They created the technology for Blu-ray. They are the pioneers of Blu-ray. and they're telling you they're no longer going to produce disc.
But what happened? What just happened with Sony TVs and Panasonic TVs, for that matter?
Okay, so Panasonic was sold to Skyworth,
Which is a Chinese company.
which is a Chinese company, and TCL was also sold to, or Sony was sold to TCL. Well, not completely, but 51% of Sony is owned by TCL.
So, do you know how many different new models of Chinese automobile there were this year?
No clue.
It's approximately 300 and something. It's like
And
one
that's
a day.
the problem with TCL is there's so many darn models.
But what I'm saying is, you look at that kind of model, it's like China is going to become a source of Blu-ray. Just because Sony say we're not making them anymore, they just sell the technology or the license to make them or whatever, and some company in China is going to make the Blu-ray. So Blu-rays.
But you gotta have a supply and demand. You can make them, but if it's not a supply or demand, then it's a waste of time.
It goes in a landfill like an Atari TV game, Atari ET game.
So that's where the problem come in. You got to look at is there a demand for Blu-ray DVDs?
Yes,
with
because
all the streaming platforms and everything.
I think people are coming to the realization that when they buy, and everybody uses the word buy, but now they're not.
I love this debate. I love that you're so passionate about it.
In some instances, I forget now, it's just something that vaguely at the back of my mind, but either some companies in some things are now being told you can't tell people that they are buying something if you are not giving them the product.
So I'm going to give the ladies and gentlemen of the audience a background and why Ian is such a staunch Storm the Hill disc warrior. Like, I'm talking Braveheart, makeup, paint, all that. Slings and arrows, backside exposed with a kilt, mooning the other army.
Not on your Nelly.
As far as the disc is concerned, but and I love that he's passionate about it. So he is a media server. He builds his own media server, and he enjoys that. And that's actually how he and I met, because of he and I met through home entertainment. But we had a common love and bond with music and the love of cinema and movies and things like that.
We are pack racks.
Right. Pack rats.
Pack rats.
Yeah, instead of Rat Pack. We could be Rat Pack
or
too.
Pack racks.
But here's the thing. I see your point. 1,000% see your point. Do I see people cranking up mills and production companies to remake Blu-ray disc? Absolutely effing not. I don't see it happening. I just don't. You can't. Here's the thing. You don't recover from a $780 million loss by independents like yourself,
right,
that want to buy disc. And it's just not gonna happen.
Well, that was my next question, Justin. He says that the people do that. Then when I made the supply and demand, but do you have numbers to back that up, or that's just a gut feeling?
It's gut feeling, supposition. I'm not backing anything up until I research it, but that's my opinion.
But it's an opinion, and I love that opinion. And there are thousands of people that have that very opinion and they fall into the I've got 1,000 discs or 2,000 discs or 3,000 discs. I'm not going to go and jump and invest in something like Kaleidescape because I have all of these things. That's great. And if you want to re-watch those 3,500 movies over and over and over again, you can. It's not about that. It's about replenishing.
With that being said, right, Kaleidescape is a different model because if you buy the movie,
you own it.
You own it.
You own it.
And I would.
Oh my goodness! Did Ian Byron, are you feeling okay today?
I said last.
I'm going through my blood pressure risen.
Ian just said a pro about a Kaleidescape and why you should own one. Can we we let it be made known on the calendar?
I told you whenever I was last here, which was what.
It's getting dark, boss. It's getting dark. It's getting dark.
You said it twice. Hold on, wait.
It's not Byron. It's not a light at the end of the tunnel. It's a train.
Copyrights, conversation about the copyrights of Kaleidescape, and his position was totally different.
Yeah.
Whose position?
Yes, I can see the train, boss.
Revisit.
You're cutting out.
He's sinking.
It's coming. It's coming.
Oh, there you go.
That was the iceberg he's talking about.
For a minute there, it sounded like you were making love to Optimus Prime. I couldn't figure out what was going on there.
Octopus Prime.
Octopus Prime.
Hey, that was that heart attack moment from Ian saying pros about Kaleidescape. You know, it just frogged the circuit lines. You know, even
I've never said anything
in,
against Kaleidescape.
False. I have the show.
False.
I'll have to go back and look at it.
We have documentation, Ian.
Yeah. No. We have an episode where we. No. So here's the thing. Do I see disc making resurgence? No, I don't. Do I think it's going to be a novelty in the next 10 years? Possibly. I think the novelty phase of vinyl is already worn off, you know, to me. And the reason why is price. It's the price. You and I were talking about this earlier. I don't go buy vinyl anymore because it's $40 for a record. I'm not going to do that. That's stupid. I don't care if it is cool and I love the band. But if it was a Blue Hotter...
You would pay for...
Go ahead.
You would pay $40 for a vinyl of an artist that you really, really, truly
I would
like.
And if I was at a show, if I was at the Blue Water Highway Band, if I was at their show and they had a vinyl for sale, I would buy it because I would get them to sign it. You know, sure, absolutely, because it's awesome wall art. But I wouldn't go out of my way. Nothing against local record stores. I love Volume Music. I love Space City Audio. I love VT Records. I love they're great. They're great businesses. But it's like it's just what I've noticed over the past 3 or 4 years now buying vinyl. This shit's just in the way. You know, and that's what you went through when you listened to it when it was the only medium that you could listen to.
Yes.
It's just in the way.
But
right?
you must admit, though, you love the crackle.
No. Well, here's what I don't...
Before the music starts.
But here's the thing.
Is it.
And it did. It made a resurgence. It was a novelty thing. I think people were genuinely looking for something fun to do and a way to unplug. You know, if I see...
I know people are buying into it now, though. I don't know what generation they are, Gen Z, whatever they call, but vinyl wasn't even a thing when they were kids.
Right.
But they're buying into
it. Me too.
Now.
Well, vinyl wasn't a thing when I was a kid. You know, by the time I was a kid, it was tapes and CDs.
And Justin, I got 300 cassette tapes in a box in storage with a double cassette deck that I've been had since I was a freaking freshman in college.
If you have a Nakamichi Dragon sitting in a box somewhere, you are sitting on some money. There are people that will pay really, really, really good money.
It's an interesting fact, though. I had an email from Queen, as in, I don't know, fan club or whatever, but it's more... So there's an online store, and they obviously bring out albums, like the 50th anniversary of Night at the Opera, for instance. And it's available on CD, vinyl, special picture vinyl, and cassette tape. So you can still buy cassette tapes.
Yeah.
But not every title that's out there.
I think Eminem was releasing.
Yeah.
He released a special edition cassette tape on the anniversary of the Real Slim Shady, and then one of them was signed out of the thousands he was selling or whatever. So you may have ended up with the signed one. But that's the thing is I grew up with tapes.
Yeah.
I saw records. My dad had a record player in a kind of a stereo thing. And I grew up with tapes, and then way later it was CDs. And then as soon as CDs hit, the tapes were abandoned. You know, nobody bought the tapes anymore because it was convenience. You know what I mean? And so to me, I just don't, the movie industry does not support it. They don't want you to have a disc, even though you think you're owed it and you want to own it. They don't owe it to you. They don't owe you.
But I think that's
that median.
I think that's what people are going to come along and say is, if it happens more and more, and it gets more and more out there that you do not own something that you have technically bought, because you're not buying a product, you're buying a license, and that they can rescind the license at any time. Sony PlayStation just killed 557 titles.
Right.
If you'd bought them, how much money do you invest in 500? If you'd bought all 500,
30 to $60 a piece.
yeah, and you think you own that, that's, I don't know, $1,500, whatever you've spent, it's like it's gone. And you can't play those games anymore.
So Sony
you can't watch those movies anymore.
So Sony PlayStation gives you the ability on your system to download the title, very much like a Kaleidescape,
Right.
or stream the title. Now, I don't know how external hard drives work and things like that in relation to Sony PlayStation.
I think even if you download some of these things, you still have to be online, and the licensing is done, even though you're loading locally.
I think you're right.
So you still lost it.
Right. Here's the thing.
So
if you want to blame somebody on this business model, blame the thing is there's a guy that I know that works with Disney. He said a long time ago, Disney wants to get out of Disney Plus. That business model has never worked. It's been a money pit since they started it. That's why you saw all the consolidation of Disney and Hulu and ESPN all in one app, the bundles, right? And thinking everybody was going to jump in the bundles. The problem with all of that is the model doesn't work. It takes a couple grand or a few grand to produce an album, maybe a little bit, maybe up to 10 grand to produce an album. Now that's not including artwork. That's just talking about studio time and production. That's not talking about duplication, putting on the shelves, artwork, bagging it, tagging it, throwing it out there for people to buy. It's not talking about that. I'm talking about to produce an album. Okay. I know this, but to produce a freaking movie, I mean, what was it? The Odyssey, the most recent one, was what, 280 million?
I think, yeah.
You're not going to make that selling it at $19 a month.
Did you see
streaming
that?
it?
Did you see that their advertising budget was almost half as much again?
Right. What was it?
So Justin, in the terms of Braylon, he says, is licensing if licensing is not owning, then piracy is not stealing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If licensing is not owning, then piracy is not stealing. Here's what I would tell. Here's what I would tell.
If Byron doesn't license you to have it, then piracy is not stealing.
I don't know. So there are several DJs that have died on the hill with me on this, and so here's the thing.
Okay.
I'm one of the few people that sided with Metallica on the Napster thing. Okay, because everybody said, "Oh, well, they've got plenty of money, you know, they've done this, they've done that, they've earned their money, they've earned this, they've earned that, they've done this, they've done that." Here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say on this. Yes, they earn money, but they have a right to charge you for their product.
If it's a new product.
Even if it's an old product.
Well, yeah.
If you're buying Kill 'Em All or Injustice for All or any one of their albums, they have a right to earn money off of that product.
But say, as an artist, that you produce an album or several songs, and they're on a streaming platform where you can buy them, or they're on a CD. So if I buy the CD that you've made your music, you agree that I own a copy of your music.
Sure.
For my own entertainment, pleasure, I can't broadcast it, whatever. But if I've bought it on Apple Music or Amazon Music or Spotify or something else, then do I have the right to download that music and listen to it as if I'd bought the CD at the same kind of price? Do you agree with that?
Yeah.
So that's technically piracy. Downloading something that you've bought a license to play. That's technically where they're saying
But you're
piracy.
still buying it.
No, you're not. You're buying a license to play it from the streaming service.
But the artist makes money off the streaming service. They don't make the same money.
Apple Music doesn't let you. Apple Music lets you download the playlist to your phone, but you can't share it with nobody else. So technically, you download it for your own pleasure. So back in the day, when we used to buy a CD and make copies and give to your friends, then that was, say, quote, technically illegal.
That was distribution.
Well, not illegal. Yeah. But technically, it's not illegal because you're giving it away. You're not selling it. But if you would make copies and sell it, then that was illegal.
No, it's still illegal. Either one of those scenarios is illegal. If you were giving music away, so go. Okay, I'm gonna blow a hole into both of these statements right now. So back in the good old days, when you had a disc or a VHS, there was an FBI warning on the front of that before you played the movie.
Yep.
And if you go read the fine print, which nobody does because everybody always fast forwarded it, but if you go read the fine print of that FBI warning or if of that message, it is saying that the hereby end user that purchased this has the rights to watch this movie. They do not have the rights to distribute the movie. They do not have the rights to rebroadcast the movie in public for money. They do not have the rights to record this movie. And it is against FBI law when you violate those rights. It is you are breaking the law when you do that. That is what piracy, that's what started the whole piracy. Now, in 2016 or 2017, right around the same.
I just had a thought. Are there any pirates in the Gulf right now?
So
no. I'm constantly looking every day. I have not seen.
This was right around the same time that Kaleidescape got sued.
Yeah. Which we don't talk about.
No, we can talk about it. They just can't talk about it. We can talk about it however the hell we want, but they can't talk about it. So
they cannot censor us.
Exactly.
Well, they could.
But what they changed the verbiage on it.
They could sanction us.
What the verbiage is in the new FBI rating was, in all reality, it took it a step further, saying that this copy is only for the person that bought it.
Right.
Meaning you couldn't invite me over to watch a movie in that verbiage. So, and I don't know why they changed it to that. I don't know why they changed the verbiage to that. But the other thing that was included in the FBI law is it was against the law to sell a machine that would de-encrypt or de-encode a copyright protection, meaning if the source was copyrighted and you had a machine that ripped it into a different medium, if you are not the owner of that disc and you couldn't prove ownership, then you can own a machine that does whatever you want and you can do whatever you want with it as that person. But you can't let me borrow a disc of Star Wars and I rip it onto my hard drive because that's distribution again.
Yeah.
And that's illegal. Yeah. That's 100% illegal. So,
and I do not support anything like that.
No, nor should anyone. Because if you're a lover of movies and you're doing those things, then you don't love movies. You don't love the people that make movies. Because the people that make movies get paid by you buying tickets and you buying that medium. Now, what I do disagree with and agree with you guys on is when you buy a movie on Apple TV, you should own it. If you bought it, you should own it.
Yes.
Now, if you rent it, then that's not ownership. That's just your lease. Like if you were to go rent a movie at a Blockbuster back in 100 years ago,
you had to rewind it and take it back.
And that's fine. Or you get late fees and blah, 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 blah. But here's the thing. When you're doing that, it was legal for Blockbuster to rent you the movie because they had an agreement with the movie studios to rent those movies. Now, I don't know how used sales worked with what they were doing.
Well, Netflix and Redbox and everybody else, and they rented you a DVD and then you returned it either in the mail or you went and stuck it back in the machine.
Right.
But if you didn't stick it back in the machine, and you somehow lost the disc in a pile of something and you forgot to take it back, Redbox would charge you X amount for so long.
Right.
But then do you actually own that disc?
No, so Tony and I got in a very heated argument over this because he's a DJ. And every now and then he would try to go do a show on Facebook and he would get flagged and the audio would get muted and he'd get kicked off. And he gets so pissed off about that. He was like, well, why are they muting my audio? Why are you? And I was like, well, I kind of understand it. And this is where I got flamethrowed. I said, well, I understand it because if somebody's just scrolling and they hear a song that they like, they're going to stop and watch your video. The reason why they've stopped to watch their video is because you're playing a song that they like. And that's why they're watching you. Not because they're watching you. It's because you are playing Taylor Swift or Nine Inch Nails or whoever. You know what I mean?
Now all you have to do is say, I don't own the rights to this music, and they won't mute it or let it go.
I think they still do in some cases, but I think so they allow you to add music to your adverts or your videos now that belong to artists because they're now paying artists for those streams. When somebody clicks on your video, that artist is making a little blip off of whatever song you're playing.
Yeah, because if you notice, well, you probably don't know, but I listen to a lot of motorcycle audio competitions that people go to around the world and they post them live on Facebook. And throughout the video,
and they're not muting you?
Music. No, they say, as long as they say, I do not own the rights to this music, I do not own the rights to this music, at least 2 or 3 times throughout the live, they won't mute it.
Right.
I don't know the reasoning behind it or whatever, but let's backtrack a little bit.
Well, again, because it means they're going to come to your show. You're stopping and watching because you recognize the song, and there's something to be said for that. But then, how do home theater guys get away with showing a video of a theater room, but showing Top Gun Maverick in the background? Yes, I said it. For that reason, but
they
you know what I mean?
They probably write in the comments that they don't.
I never do. I never do.
What comments?
Yeah. Right.
I mean, if you're doom scrolling through reels, what comments?
But DJs get pissed because they're like, well, if I'm sampling this or sampling that, keyword is sampling.
Yeah.
If you're creating your own beat, but you're taking Sweet Child of Mine and putting a beat to that, then you still modified Sweet Child of Mine.
Yeah.
And Sweet Child of Mine is still owned by Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
In parties.
Look how many times.
You know what I mean?
Look how many times
P. Diddy made a whole career out of it.
Right. But look how many times Michael Bolton got sued for sampling other people's music without paying them.
Michael Bolton?
And, George Michael.
Oh,
not Michael, but George Michael.
George Michael. I was like, who the hell wanted to sample Michael Bolton?
George Michael was sampling.
Now that I'm thinking about it, I can't even think of a Michael Bolton song.
This is Logan Martin talking.
Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah,
but look,
it's one of those. It's one of those transparent guys with funky hair. It's what it is.
So I'll tell you a funny story related to YouTube and copyrighted music. So I found a whole bunch of old micro mini VHS tapes from a really old digital camera that I had a million years ago, and so I converted them to digital, copied them onto the computer, and I uploaded them to YouTube, but as private for my kids to see, because it was just, it wasn't anything for the whole world to see. It's just private home videos.
Right.
So one of them was a Christmas thing, and it's like videoing the kids opening their Christmas presents with, a handheld video camera with a VHS tape in it. And in the background, I've got a vinyl record player, and somebody's given me a vinyl record for Christmas, and it's on. And it's on the record player, and it's in the background. You can hear it, but I'm videoing the kids, and it's nothing to do. And it's a private.
And they flagged the video. And they flagged the video.
They didn't flag it. They just took the audio off completely.
Yeah, they muted the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yep. No, they did that. So Tony and I did a video with. We were doing a how-to of AirPlay. So we were showing how to navigate AirPlay, and we found this cool feature on AirPlay 2 where you could take devices that aren't even related to one another and make them play the same audio, which I thought was cool. It stops at like 5 streams or something, but I thought it was just interesting. So we filmed this whole video of it, but the song we just pulled out of the air, it was copyrighted and they muted the whole thing. So then we had to go find a rights-free video, which that one didn't even work. So I said, screw it. I'm just going to write a song, and I did. Came up with the beats, and I did on the fly, put it together, and then we were playing that song through the whole video, which was my song.
Yeah.
And they couldn't say anything, and they didn't mute the video. But it was just, but yeah, no, that's a thing, and that's what I mean. DJs get pissed off about this. Well, then they said, well, why can an artist go out and play someone else's song? Do a cover of someone's song. And I said, well, that's easy because it's an interpretation.
And this might be the reason why you get so much AI slop on these videos on whatever, because they're not something original that they can recognize and stop you using. They're just something that's somebody's created at the drop of a button.
Click of a button, yeah.
On Suno. And
So just...
Sir.
Yeah, so let's backtrack on 2 things. I'm gonna tell you one thing: how streaming has changed the world based on from CDs. Number one, back when an artist released a CD, you buy the CD. He might have 2 good songs on the CD, and you rest with
absolutely
stuck with the 7 that you don't like.
Case in point, so Van Halen, 1984. It had Panama, Jump, and Hot for Teacher. There was 3 songs on that album. The rest of the album is absolute trash. Right. Case in point.
So now when you go to streaming, you can buy just the songs you like and not have to worry about the rest of being forced to buy.
But you're not even really buying it. You're not even buying individual songs. Used to, back when iTunes first started, you were paying 99 cents a song.
Yeah.
Or $1.99 a song.
Right.
Now you just stream that song.
The second point.
Right.
Then the second point I want to make, when you say the Nakamichis are sitting on a gold mine, I have a CD that's worth about $1,000. It's the original Ice Cube Cop Killer CD. You remember when Gangsta Rap first started?
And they outlawed the CD. It was illegal to see because of the cover of the CD.
So,
yeah.
Right. It was illegal on the first record label. They produced like 400 copies, and then it went dormant for about a year. Then it came back on a second record label. Well, I got one of the originals from the original 400 from the first record label. I mean, I got the CD case cover and everything. It's worth about $1,000.
Yep, and then Ghetto Boys was another one of those that got outlawed because one of the rappers had been shot in the face or something, and the whole cover, the album cover, was him with a big giant bandage on his face or whatever.
Bill, I think he was the little midget. The one
he was the midget dude. This guy got shot. Guess he was a good shot, or he just was trying to
There's
shoot
one
somebody
CD
else.
that I've even bid on eBay that in the hundreds and thousands of dollars, and that was Nickelback's first CD that they basically produced and touted around the coffee shops,
like almost like a garage days thing.
It's called Hesher, H-E-S.
Yeah,
and I mean they're like rocking horse drop-ins,
right?
But you could find them on eBay. They're probably created because the songs that are on there are available on the first album that they brought out.
Yeah,
and no different to the format, but it's like as a collector of something, which surprised you that I like Nickelback. But anyway,
it totally surprises me that you like Nickelback. Totally, I did not see you as in fact, Chad Kroger, Aaron, Aaron,
yeah,
he checks in planes and customs, and he said that Chad and Gwyneth Paltrow, which was now his ex-wife at the time, it was really late at night or early in the morning, it was like 3 a.m, and they had just flown in, and of course they had to check his plane out and everything else. And what he said was funny and Gwyneth Paltrow in a lot of ways is known as not a very friendly
I'm confused
person.
I thought she was with what's his name from Coldplay.
Oh, it was Coldplay. You're right. No, it was him, and it was who was his name from Coldplay? No, it was him from Coldplay. No, that he got to anyway. The story doesn't apply anymore. Anyway, Short
But
story
Justin,
long.
I suck
Short
a Doberman.
story long of it. Gwyneth Paltrow was supposed to be this diva, horrible human being. And he said she was the sweetest person on the planet. And by the way, her without makeup at 3 a.m. was more beautiful than most women that he's ever seen in his entire life.
She's currently married to somebody called Brad Falchuk.
Brad Falchuk. Yeah, but you were right. It was with Coldplay. It was, what's his name from, I just went blank on his name. It doesn't matter. But anyway, no.
But
Nickelback,
Justin,
I'm just surprised that yeah, I didn't peg you for a Nickelback guy. Yeah.
But I struck a deal with a guy that's kind of doing the same thing as Ian. So he sold me 300 CDs with the album, with the CD case covers for like $100 because he stripped them all. He ripped them all to freaking hard drives.
Yeah.
And I got them in the case, and one in that case was that Cop Killer CD that I paid $100 for 300, and that one was in there.
Huh.
So that one CD is worth the whole buy. I don't even know what's in. I don't even know all I got. I might have your CD in that bundle because this is it wasn't a rap DJ, it was a pop. He just DJ'd all across the board. He DJ'd everything.
Yeah. No, and I've always liked Nickelback. I don't understand I think people just got Nickelback fatigue along with Creed and some of the other bands that were going along.
I've seen Nickelback probably more times than I saw Queen.
I cannot see. That's like Byron saying one of his first records was Genesis. I cannot picture this. It's like I just cannot picture you at a Nickelback.
And In the Air Tonight is fire.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, the drum and the bass. Yeah, but I just can't picture. I cannot picture you standing at a Nickelback concert.
I went to see the first time I saw them was the Hammersmith Odeon, which is in sort of outskirts of London.
The one I like is "It's So Hard to Follow." I like that.
Yeah, the ballad's good, but I like the heavy head shaking, the head banging stuff.
Well, that one definitely it's not a ballad. That one gets into. I'll have to play it for you after the show. That one's a really good one.
Remind me of what I really am.
How You Remind Me is good. Photograph is decent. I like the one he wrote for Dimebag and Pantera, Side of a Bullet. That one was good. He was written about the guy who killed Dimebag. There was again, it's like I've never understood the disdain for them. It's weird. It's kind of a strange thing.
They did a good cover of Saturday Night's All Right for Fighting.
True. Plus, he was with, I think he dated briefly Avril Lavigne, which is like one of my all-time.
Was that before or after Gwyneth Paltrow?
No, he wasn't with Gwyneth. You're about to start all kinds of rumors. No, he was definitely not with Gwyneth Paltrow. No.
I can't remember.
Justin, I got
what is his name? Chris? Was it Chris?
Chris somebody.
Yeah.
You'd think.
Go ahead. What is it, Byron? What do you got? While Ian looks up who the singer of Coldplay is, so I can say Gwyneth Paltrow stopped sleeping with Nickelback. Yeah, which she did.
The song, remember the song?
Chris Martin.
War.
Chris Martin.
What the hell we fighting for?
Yeah.
Remember that? Who's the artist? That was the most.
2.
Yeah.
What is it good for? Jackie Chan in
Who's
Rush
the
Hour.
artist of that song?
Jackie Chan, Rush Hour. No.
No, but the reason I asked that question because most people misquote the artist for that song, and I did for a long time.
I don't know. I don't know I know the song like. I don't know. You stumped me on that one.
Most people thought it was Earth, Wind, and Fire, but it wasn't. It was Edwin Starr.
Edwin Starr. No, I couldn't have. I knew it was a Vietnam anthem, but I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you who sang it.
I know that line though from
Chris Martin. Chris Martin, his wife Gwyneth Paltrow, absolutely lovely people at 3 a.m.
What the hell are we fighting for? Is a lyric from Hammer to Fall by Queen.
True. It was also in a Linkin Park song as well. I think it's been in a million songs.
Probably.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So
it's a universal battle cry.
I mean, here's the thing: people are always going to steal music. They're going to complain when they have to pay for something. Here's the thing: I don't owe you anything as an artist. I don't owe you anything. I don't owe you my music. The music that comes out of me is a purge. It's a vulnerability and a purge of of what's going on in my world. And you're not owed that. Even as a fan, you're not owed that. If you want to partake in that, then yes, buy it. And that helps me create more.
Yeah.
And even though I am never, as an artist, I am never going to stop creating more, because artists never stop creating. Now, they may decide to release and not release, but like that the last album that Ed Sheeran released when his friend drowned, it wasn't a great album. It wasn't a bad album, but it wasn't a commercial, put a Matchbox logo on it, put it on a Target shelf album that we were used to. It wasn't X, or it wasn't, everybody calls it X. It wasn't multiply or divide or division, whatever, or subtraction or equals or whatever. It wasn't commercially viable, I would say. It had a couple, again, to your point, it had 2 good songs, and the rest of them was kind of a, hey, where are we going with it type of album. But he doesn't owe you that. He doesn't owe you that.
Right.
And you owe him that. If you want to listen to that music, then you owe him. Now, the whole purpose of why radio existed was so they could snapshot and preview a sneak peek of what is on that album to entice you to go to buy an album. But nobody does that anymore. And the reason why CDs were stopped is because people stopped buying them. And
also look at this. You have established artists who puts out albums and nobody know. Did you know Jill Scott just released a brand new album?
No. Who?
Jill Scott.
No, I didn't.
That's the point.
Well, that's the thing. Sammy Hagar from Van Halen, or former lead singer of Van Halen, said this the other day, is nowadays, if an artist produces an album, they're doing it for the love of the game. They will spend more than they'll ever make on an album, unless it's somebody like Post Malone or MGK or Youngblood, that just something that's white hot. But even then, they're not making billions or millions on albums, because the business model shifted.
Yeah. I'm still old school, I am.
Well, right.
My age. And if a band brings out an album, I consider that the whole complete piece of work.
Right.
So, yes, it's got songs on, they're in an order, which what annoys me is because the songs on a UK version of an album are in a different order to the songs by the same band called the same name, but for a US version.
Right.
And when I listen to an album, I listen to it all the way through, and it's like a whole artwork. I mean, you wouldn't, very, very rarely do I listen to anything from Dark Side of the Moon without listening to the whole album.
So Tony used to say something is, well, if I put a beat to this song, what's making that song better? Describe better. Better is in the eye of the person that's listening, the ears that are listening to it. Maybe I don't like it with a beat.
And you're taking somebody else's work and making it sound like you created it.
Right.
Because you think it sounds better.
So this is the $1 million question.
Sure.
This is the $1 million question. What sells the album? The lyrics or the beat?
Or the
Definitely not the popularity. I wouldn't say it's the lyrics. I would say, you want to know what sells the album? It's the hook. It's the hook. It's typically the chorus. The chorus is the hook, or it's either the first 5 seconds of the song. So, like for instance, Dire Straits' "Money for Nothing." It's the first that guitar part. Even if you're not a guitarist, people recognize that song. Or Eruption, it's either the first few seconds of the song, which is considered okay, I need to listen to more of this, or it's the anthem, it's the chorus, it's if you go listen to Pour Some Sugar on Me, you're not listening to, Love Me Like a Bomb, you're not listening to that. You're listening to Pour Some Sugar on that's the thing, that's the part everybody knows. You know what I mean?
So on the Phil Collins Genesis album,
it's
Genesis
the intro
album,
absolutely,
it's the acapella version,
right? It's the
3-minute long acapella version before the drum line.
It's the synthesizer. Yeah, it's the brilliance of Phil Collins. Now, but then if you go listen to Invisible Touch, it's that very first intro. As soon as you hear that, it's Invisible Touch. That's what studios refer to as the hook, of the song.
like the chord from A Hard Day's Night.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
Or
that
or
one-
Come Together.
Yeah.
Come Together is another brilliant one. It's
You hear one note, and it's like, I know that song.
I know that song. Yeah, you could get it faster than Shazam.
Yeah.
You know, you can beat it.
And I agree with you. Let me tell you why. Because the other night we was in the theater.
The hook
on
is
the
what
road,
sells
and it was-
albums.
And
So-
it was playing Galp Band Celebration. How old is that song? But everybody in there knew the hook.
So here's the thing.
Celebration time. Come on.
Yeah. So here's the thing about that though, Byron, is typically back in those days when they released an album, they put the radio song on there first, typically, then they put another radio hit in the middle, and then they usually put another radio hit at the very end. And that way what they were hoping is that you would accidentally listen to it but in the vinyl days you would have to listen to the whole album to get to the song you wanted. In the tape days, until they became auto tape decks that would just stop at first song,
Hit fast forward and it
it's-
get to the next
and
break.
it stops at the song. Yeah, that was a luxury.
Yeah.
You know, because in some cases you had to stop, play. Oh no, rewind, play. Yep, nope, there it is. Wait, no. Or you could time it in with the song on the other side, and then hit the reverse button, and then would play the other song, and then your tape jams, and then you're screwed. That's why CDs were amazing. But that was the thing is, it's the hook. The hook is what sells the album. The hook. I mean, if you go listen to, let's go to Van Halen 1984 for a second. They played this keyboard part, which was called 1984, and then that keyboard part, it's like, you know, that type of sound, and then it goes dun, 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 dun. I mean, everybody knows that song. You know, it goes right into Jump, or it goes right into Panama, depending on which version of 1984 you have. If you have the original version of 1984, it went to Panama. If you have the newer one, it goes into Jump. So it just depends on which version of, So it's interesting.
Yeah, me and Bray had this song, and I was explaining to him when it comes to rap music, is you listen to the old rap music, they had rap. Like if you listen to Sugar Hill Gang, that's a 12-minute song, and they rapping throughout.
You know, you just
the song.
can't stop to the bang bang
Right,
boogity
but
beat.
on
I
this
just
new
don't-
stuff,
I don't
on
know.
this new stuff, the rappers are singing 2 verses, and all the rest is the hook.
Yep. Well, Beastie Boys, but then there are some albums that transcend past hooks. Like if you go listen to Poison, open up and say, you can listen to every freaking song on that album. It's back to back perfect. Def Leppard Hysteria. Def Leppard Hysteria was huge for the UK. I mean, that album will go down in history, is still to this day the most expensive album that was ever produced, because in the process of that album, the drummer lost his arm during production. And so and Def Leppard refused to use a different drummer, and they had to create, this is before, you got to remember, this is before drum machines and all that stuff. This is before that stuff even existed. And so they were buying every drum pad, everything they could find at Radio Shack, everything, whatever hardware store was in the UK that sold that type of stuff. And they were calling the engineering teams in Japan and China to build this stuff that was synthesized drums, like an 808 machine equivalency. And that by far will be the most expensive album ever produced for that reason. And it's probably one of their best albums ever produced was Def Leppard Hysteria. It is cover to cover beautifully done, you know, and every hit was a radio hit.
Do you think your boy Michael Jackson ever put out a bad song?
A bad song? Yes, absolutely.
Which one?
I think his Dangerous album was probably the weakest in his catalog that's ever been released. I thought Black and White was okay at best. I think Remember the Time was awful. And then again, to your point, if I went and bought that record, it was only Black and White and Remember the Time. Everything else was rubbish. Everything else was like B track. But then if you were to compare that to Bad or Thriller, oh my gosh.
But I think that's a case
You know what I mean?
of where
You didn't think I was going to know his catalog, didn't you?
when those came out, he
I knew
became
you
a
knew it,
phenomenon.
'cause that's why the way you stand your position on the movie.
Yeah.
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 Michael Jackson became a phenomenon with those kind of albums.
Oh, yeah.
And then
Like Dirty Diana.
and then
I
yes,
mean,
but then it was
dear
like
God.
it got to the point where the fans were almost dictating that he had to make more music because he was such a phenomenon. You need to make more music, and it just dwindled. The later stuff just wasn't the same.
Right. No.
I liked it. Billie Jean, and
Billie Jean.
PYT was
You
my
can
two.
play Billie Jean in any crowd, and it's like Footloose.
Yeah.
People will start bobbing their head and start doing stupid crap that that their body can't do anymore. But yeah, no, I mean immediately
That's like
people
Tom-
start
that's
doing
like
this
Tom
with their
Rose,
foot.
Funky Cold Medina,
yeah,
too.
yeah. Funky Cold Medina, Wild Thing. No, absolutely. It's
Hey
just
Macarena.
no, nobody ever did that. No. Let's
Carlos
pretend.
Santana.
We're gonna edit that
Hey.
part out. Yeah, no.
Hey,
But
Carlos Santana's what's the one that he made and it sold millions of copies?
Supernatural.
Yep.
It
No,
was
it's a song. It's one song he in his. Oh, was it rock? No, it wasn't a Roxanne song.
No, Roxanne was stinging
thought-
the police.
Yeah, but Carlos Santana remade a song, and I mean it just took the country by wave for like about 2 months straight, and I can't think.
Are
of
you
the
talking
name
about
of it.
when did it release? I could probably help you.
Oh, it's been a
It was-
while.
so
I
Carlos
it's
San- was it off his
like
Superna-
Carlos Santana?
Was it off his Supernatural album that was released with other artists?
Probably. It was,
Was it-
the
It was like Rob Thomas and there was
Smooth
one,
1999.
yeah, it was probably
Rob
Smooth.
Thomas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because it was like
That was a great
um,
album. Yeah, Smooth was great. He had one with Dave Matthews. He had one with Everlast. He had one
But
with.
he was kind of dormant for a minute, and this song brought him to a hole, and it rolled for about 2 months, and
It
then
made
he
him
kinda went
relevant.
Back down.
Again,
Yeah.
there are artists that transcend that. Like Aerosmith is the same way. Aerosmith to me, you know what's funny about Aerosmith is most of the songs that people know, and I'm one of them, were produced in the early 70s. Like Love in an Elevator, that was 77. You know, I was thinking Love in an Elevator was written in the 90s at some point. And no, Love in an Elevator was 77. It was, I think it was Something in the Attic, Flowers in the Attic, Something in the Attic, or Something in the Cradle. I don't remember the name of the album, but it just, most of their hits were between 72 to 77 with Aerosmith. And then they just made a resurgence. They did the soundtrack in the 90s for a movie called Armageddon, which is a phenomenal movie with Bruce Willis and Ben Affleck and John Buscemi. Anybody was in this movie. It was a summer blockbuster hit, and they redid a song called the Beatles Come Together. They did their version of Come Together, and then that whole album was basically an Aerosmith greatest hits album. And then they came out with a song called Don't Miss a Thing, and that was on the charts. Still on the charts. People are still getting married to that song. You know, and this is a band that's been out for the better course of 30 years at that point in time when they came back into rotation.
Smooth spent 12 weeks at the top of the Billboard.
I remember that. And
And
again,
it won 3 Grammys.
and it brought
Yes,
Rob
the
Thomas
Maria
back
Maria.
into the light because Matchbox hadn't really done it. They kind of phased in. We were our music, we were surfing in and out of the Matchbox world when they were in their heyday.
Yeah.
You know, we were doing most of those things. So, yeah, no, there's a lot of fun things on that. But are they all?
Justin, the song was called Maria Maria.
Nah, that
Oh.
was the second one.
Maria was done with something. Who was that? Who was he singing with on that
I've
one?
forgotten, but it was
Something West Side Story. Da, 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 da. Yeah. Who was on that
Yeah.
song with him?
no Smooth was the one I remember.
Smooth was the
most.
biggest one.
I mean, I'm a big Carlos Santana listening fan.
Well, he's
have
probably one of the last of the living legends. He would be like if Jimi Hendrix was still alive.
Yeah.
You know, because he's out of that
Okay.
era. You know.
Okay, so let's go back to our question we had before. Will you put him in the same category as Eddie Van Halen? and Stevie Ray?
Absolutely, I would. He would definitely be in the top 10. But again, you can't put it. Here's the thing.
Apples to oranges.
Stevie Ray Vaughan was big in Texas, but Stevie Ray Vaughan did not transcend beyond Texas until after he passed away. You know, when he died with Robert Van Zant and all those other guys on that helicopter, I think it was Robert Van Zant. Pretty sure it was Robert Van Zant. When he died on the helicopter crash, that's when his transcendence took place, and that's when the world started paying attention to Stevie Ray Vaughan. That has nothing to do with lack of talent. That has nothing to do with of his outer worldly, ungodly ability to be able to play the guitar. But Eddie Van Halen was worldly known. He was known all over the world. Stevie Ray Vaughan wasn't known all over the world until decades later, after he had passed away, and then rightly so. You know, Jimi Hendrix was known all over the world because he started all over the world. He started in the UK. And like most bands that came over here from the UK, like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Jimi Hendrix, the Doors, you know, all these other bands that were coming over here, all of those guys, well, the Doors was UK, no? Yes? Doors?
No.
They were California bands.
Yeah.
They were California.
Ian, was you a John Lennon fan?
Well, of course he was a John Lennon.
No, my mother was a Beatles fan.
Were you a Beatles
So I was
fan?
brought up on Beatles. I mean, from when I was...
See, my mom, it was the exact opposite
Okay, so
over here. They
listen,
weren't allowed to listen to the Beatles.
The Beatles first became a phenomenon in this country in about 1963 when they were on the Ed Sullivan Show.
Yep.
And by 1969, 1970, they produced their last album and they'd split up. That's like 6 years.
Right.
But
I was just born.
they were big in the UK, like for 3 or 4 years before they came as part of the Brit invasion.
So who was a bigger part of the Brit invasion, the Beatles or the Rolling Stones?
I'm not sure that either were bigger than the other.
Really? They're just different.
I was just listening to some interviews that they did with Paul McCartney and Mick Jagger.
Yeah.
It was interesting, like Lennon and McCartney were walking down somewhere in London, like Carnaby Street or something, on their way to a club or something, and a taxi comes past, and as it comes past, Mick Jagger and whoever from the Stones are hanging out the window going, hey, hey, you know, it's like this. And so they ended up all getting in the same taxi and going to the same club, and apparently Mick Jagger said, we were looking for a song, and Paul says, yeah, we've got a song we can give you. And it's like they were writing for lots of other people at that time, but they gave them a song. And it was like, all these years later, Paul McCartney was invited to play bass on a Rolling Stones album, and he was so stoked. It was like back in the day.
Right.
It's like, he said, I went home and he said, I told everyone,
The Stones.
I just played bass for the Rolling Stones. It's like...
Yeah, but you're the freaking Beatles. Yeah.
Yeah, but this was like in the last 2 or 3 years. I'm not talking about... Like
that's
recent.
Freaking cool.
Yeah.
And he was still stoked because
Yeah.
he got to play with the Rolling
Yeah.
Stones. That's awesome.
Even though the
He
Beatles
just seems
have
like
been long
such
gone.
a cool dude. He just seems like
1970. I mean, how many years ago is that? That's 56 years ago. The Beatles were non-existent.
The fun fact about the Rolling Stones is that Keith Richards created the logo because he wanted the logo to resemble almost the way he describes it as a Shell station or an Exxon station.
Right.
He wanted people, as soon as they saw that logo, like if you see the Shell logo, you know it's a Shell. You see a McDonald's logo, you know it's McDonald's. That's the way he had a vision of commercializing that logo, the mouth.
But it's funny.
Aerosmith kind of tried to do. They kind of Aerosmith was like the American version of the Rolling Stones, in a way. You know what I mean?
But you talk about the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and being the Brit invasion back in like the 60s and whatever. And then the Beatles were no more come 1970.
Yeah.
The Rolling Stones are still on tour, aren't they?
They're still doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still doing it. Well, and that's because, Yoko is what killed the Beatles.
Well, yeah.
You know, Yoko is, somebody convinced that dumb twat that she could sing and when it was John, oh, I said the T word. I can say that. Anyway, somebody convinced her that she could sing, and she couldn't. And apparently she was good at something because she was as pretty as a bar of homemade soap. I mean, she was just whatever. So
apparently it was to do with his glasses. He couldn't see very well.
Yeah.
That was another story Paul McCartney said about John Lennon.
But that explains Yoko if he couldn't see.
Yeah, well, he said that John used to come to his house, which is about a mile away, and then they'd sit and write songs, and then one night he left to walk home, but he left his glasses. And then the next day he said to Paul, he said, it's weird, I saw Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so up the road. They were out on their porch playing cards. And it's like, Paul's like, what's going on? So he walked up there the next night, and it was actually a nativity scene out on the front yard. Because he didn't have his glasses on, all he could see was, and it was like Mary and Joseph as the couple, and looked like a table.
But can you imagine? I mean, the thing that I think of as a musician is, and I usually openly talk about being a musician. Now, something happened when I played this silly thing last week.
It wasn't silly. It was
awesome. Yeah, when I played this thing last week, something flipped on in me, and it's just like,
I thought your hair was standing up a bit better.
Yeah, no, it was. I wasn't wearing headphones. But yeah, it was something different. It reminded me the love of the game, the love of the artistry, and the love of the raw vulnerability and things like that. But can you imagine sitting in a studio as an engineer and hearing something like A Hard Day's Night or Start Me Up or Jumpin' Jack Flash, or just, can you imagine sitting behind the board, behind the knobs, and you're the guy that's responsible for what people have heard now for decades, and it just, that to me still gives me goosebumps to this day, coming together and taking an album like Guns N' Roses' Appetite for Destruction that was just, it was all recorded in with the band in the same room, which was very rare for an album like that to be recorded. Because if somebody farts in the microphone or whatever, you're going to hear it, and so, but it was very rare. But they tried recording it in tracks, and the manager took a dump on it because he said, we're not getting the same grit. We're not getting the same throttle on it. We got to do it this way. Or coming out with something like Metallica, the Black Album, or Nickelback, the Photograph song, or Rockstar, or whatever. To me, it's like that buzz to me is still in music. And even as somebody that you don't identify with, like Post Malone or Youngblood or MGK or Disturbed or Taylor Swift or somebody, but the buzz is still there and the love of the game is still there. That is something that AI will never be able to do.
No.
It will never be able to replicate. It'll never be able to do it. Now it'll duplicate and try to replicate, but it's never gonna have the same soul that music had, and it's never going to have the same feeling that it had. Like, I can remember every song that I've ever written. I can remember where I was. I can remember where my head was. I can remember what it smelled like. I can remember what I was wearing. I can remember who I was in love with. I can remember who I wish I was in love with. I can remember and that's
other than yourself.
And that's what you're hearing. I hate myself, for the most part. It's just, but it's, I can't stand myself. But it's one of those things. It's like,
that's a good perspective as a musician, I guess.
What is most musicians, the reason they write is not because of joy. It's to get it out. It's not to get it out to even for your ears. It's to get it out of their body. It's to get it out there. And then somebody somewhere at some point can identify that feeling. Like the air of the night that Byron talks about. He's talking about being alone. He's talking about, somebody calling out for help and being alone. And I don't know anyone that can't identify with that. And I think, and if I remember right, and Byron, you'll have to correct me if I'm wrong, if he's still there. I don't know if he's still there. Are you still there?
I'm here.
Oh, he's still there. Okay. No, that's the thing
He's
is,
sipping another cocktail.
yeah, no, that's the thing is, I want to say that song was written about a drowning victim, you know, if I remember right.
That's correct.
Yeah.
His friend, he was watching his friend drown and he couldn't help him.
Yeah.
Right. And which is a very similar situation that happened with Ed Sheeran,
Yep.
you know, and so, but when you listen to that, when you go into that, you know, and you think about the artistry of that, why would you want to steal that? You know, and that's where I go back to it, full circle. Why would you want to steal that? You know, think about that. When you're pirating or when you're doing things like that, it's like, dude, how cruel are you?
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're stealing food from their plate. Who gives a shit how big the plate is and how big the mansion is and how many cars they have and everything else? Oh, they've earned it all. They have all of it. They've earned it. They deserved it. You know what I mean? And so that's why on the whole Napster thing, which Tony and I totally disagreed on that. Tony sided with the Napster because that was the DJ side of things. And I agreed with Metallica. I was like, all he's asking is to be paid for his work.
Yeah.
And then what did people do? They went and bashed his CDs and started burning all his shirts and everything. You know, Lars barely recovered from that. He's the drummer for Metallica.
Yeah.
He barely recovered from that emotionally to go make another album, you know, just because everybody hated him for it, you know? And that's the thing is, so when I see things like piracy, and then think about that, now take that mentality and multiply that by 1 million, which is a weird number, apply that to the movie industry, and that's what you're doing when you're pirating a movie. You know, or it's true.
But we've come full circle. We're talking about whether you purchase a license or
That was the whole
product.
point. Yeah.
And the K-scape model is different because when you purchase it, you purchase it in perpetuity as long as they can provide it to you, not as a licensed product, but as something you own.
No, I think the things that Apple are doing and Amazon Prime are doing and Roku are doing, in my humble opinion, is theft. I think they're not stealing from the label or the industry. They're stealing from the end user. It's if you buy a movie and that entity has a problem with the director, or they lose licensing for that movie.
So they cancel an actor or somebody.
Right. Or, again, they just lose licensing for the movie. They pull that movie out of their library.
They should refund you.
They should, but they don't. And that's the problem. And so I'll tell you, this has happened on Kaleidescape. It has. So there are copies that I own of Dave Matthews Band live in New York. They're live in Central Park. I have that on Kaleidescape. I have Stone Temple Pilots live at Radio City. I have that on Kaleidescape. You can't go buy that now. If you look it up on the Kaleidescape movie store, it's not there. So that means...
But you still own it.
I still own it, and I still have it, and I still watch it. And it's still on my Kaleidescape in the other room.
But if you didn't have it on your Kaleidescape,
You can't get it.
You wouldn't be able to re-download it.
Nope. No. You'll still be able to re-download it because it's in your library.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's
Yes.
the different model, and that's what I appreciate about what they're doing.
Yeah. You still have rights to your purchase, and I don't know why they took Dave Matthews. I know the story behind Dave Matthews. I don't know the story behind Stone Temple Pilots, but the story behind Dave Matthews, you got to remember, music's a different world. It's a different gamut of management and arguments and contracts and all that stuff. What happened with Dave Matthews is that performance that they sold live in Central Park has and I don't remember his name. You'll have to look it up. He was a big, tall violinist. I mean, big old. He was from South Africa. Big old black guy violinist and really good violinist. But he was caught doing inappropriate things with a younger audience, and the second he was caught, Dave Matthews ejected. It doesn't matter how good he was. It doesn't matter the big hole that he left, because there's a lot of violin in their music when you listen to Dave Matthews Band.
So he was fiddling.
He was fiddling and texting with people that could be considered as underage and inappropriate, yes. Right. And so Dave Matthews ejected him from the band immediately.
Yeah.
The second, that recording is still out there being sold, but they have ceased even the disc production and sales of that concert because in contractual obligations, they must pay that artist. And so that's why it was pulled off Kaleidescape. Now, I don't understand the Stone Temple Pilots thing. I don't know why they pulled that performance off, but I do know that the other was pulled off. So kind of interesting. So, but I bought those movies 4 years ago before the Dave Matthews thing happened way before that happened a long time ago. I just bought the concert because I'm a Dave Matthews fan. I enjoyed Dave Matthews, and I thought it was a good demo to show in the room, and so I enjoy it. But I'm curious to know why Sony, and he's with Sony BMG, and then Sony kind of retracted it.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. So you bought it, you own it, even though,
and I still have it.
Even though at some point you may need to actually re-download it, you still own it.
Right.
Whereas if you'd have bought it on Apple or Amazon, you wouldn't be able to watch it or download it anymore, even if you'd paid the same amount of money for it.
Correct.
Which is,
it's still your movie. Just like when cancel culture came after Kevin Spacey.
Yep.
You have a copy of 7 on Blu-ray. Nobody knocked on your door to ask for your movie.
Exactly.
Yeah. Same thing can't be said with any of those other things. And there is a big problem with that. Huge problem with that.
That happened when TikTok briefly went away. You couldn't download TikTok from the Apple Store, but the phone still had it on there, and they were selling the phones with TikTok on it for like $1,500 to $2,000.
Right, because they got in a fight
until the app came back
with the president or something. He banned TikTok in the United States or something. Something happened.
It wasn't available for 2 weeks, but people who had it on you couldn't download it no more. But people who had it on the phone already were selling the phones for like $1,500 to $2,000.
The problem is, even if you buy, the stupid part about that is even if you buy the phone, you still have to put your Apple ID in, which is going to wipe the apps off on the phone to reset the phone. Like I mean, good on them for making money on that, but I feel bad for the people that actually bought it on that. So, but yeah, no, there's do I think discs are going to make a resurgence? No, I don't. I think there's going to be a general interest from a novelty perspective. As Ian pointed out, I think if the artist is doing it independently, like Nickelback, or has the funds to do it, which they do, they still do. Like they just released Metallica's Reload. I think it's 20. Good golly, I can't believe this album's been out that long. 27 year anniversary now of Metallica's Reload. They did a CD release and a disc release, or a vinyl release, and yeah, no. So, but it's being done independently by the artist. It's not being done, but that's because they're not making money anymore on it. It's because they're not making money anymore on it. What?
Sorry, my brother just sent me a joke.
Uh-oh, let's hear it.
Okay, so my brother still resides in the United Kingdom, in England. And he's a big soccer fan, or football fan as they call them there. So he just sent me this joke. I met on the road this morning a fairy. The fairy had fallen over, so I helped her up. The fairy then said, "Thank you, kind sir, and for stopping and helping me, I grant you one wish." I thought for a minute and said, "Thank you, I would like to live forever." The fairy replied and said, "I apologise, but that's one wish I cannot grant you." So I thought again and said, "I want to die when England win the World Cup." As in soccer.
Oh, wow.
Ooh,
I get it.
Ooh, you crafty bastard, said the fairy.
Yeah. That's like saying I want to die when the Cowboys win the Super Bowl again. Yeah.
Hey, watch it, Cletus. But hey, I was in you'll be proud of me. I was watching the England and Australia World Cup soccer match on the boat because it was the livest party
You
on the
mean
ship.
Argentina?
Yeah, that. I'm not Argentina. You're right, Argentina. My bad. See, that lets you know exactly how much I was watching the game. I was just enjoying the party.
Yes,
Oh, you were
England.
enjoying watching the fans. Just yeah.
England managed to clutch defeat from the jaws of victory yet again.
Yep. Speaking of jaws of victory. You got anything else, Ian? Okay,
That was foreign.
I take that as
Hey,
a no.
you want to talk about the Mini Beast 2.0?
All right, so we're going to talk about the mini beast for a minute. We got about 30 minutes left. Yeah, sure, we could do that. So Byron is experimenting. He has now installed a DRX 8.4 in lieu of his Marantz cinema processor. What are your thoughts thus far, Byron?
Difference like night and day.
Okay, good or bad?
Good. For example, the just the setup is different. I mean, I ran the room correction. I ran two. I ran the auto calibrate with first, and then I tried to run the direct live calibrate, and it was like all the levels was too high. So I had to go back and turn them all down, and then run the 9-point calibration, which at the end I didn't really I like because it freaking flatlined it everything from the bass side, the mid side is just like flatline. So I went back and ran the auto calibrate, which sounds better until Justin can come and tweak it like he should. But I mean, I even learned the difference between running LXR cables versus RCA
you know
cables.
that if he comes to do it, that he's going to actually sell you more speakers as well.
We're already on that path. So we made a change. We was gonna remove. I have some Paradigm CS 108s, I think, at V2s that's in the ceiling in my game room and card room that's being really underutilized. So we was gonna swap those out with the Lure 8s and then put those Paradigms in the theater for Dolby Atmos. Well, that plan has been scratched, and we ordered some Logan Martins to put in the ceilings. Now we couldn't afford the high dollar Logan Martins, so we bought the midline. So we should be fine on that scenario. And then phase 3 gonna be we have to find us some 8-inch in-wall speakers.
Well, I'm sure we'd probably find some lying around to put in for you.
Those are really hard to find. So we might, plan B, if we can't find a suitable candidate, probably go to wall mount speakers.
So what? I got lost. Which brand have you put in?
So we didn't put in none yet. We're going to put Martin Logans in the ceiling for the Dolby Atmos standpoint. So currently we have Paradigm in walls. We got Logan Martin towers. We got rail subs. We have Integra AVR. Currently we have a B&K amp running the towers, but we finna swap that out to an Anthem 3-channel that's gonna run the towers and the center channels together. And so at some point in time, we're gonna change the in-wall speakers to something I can find that's 8-inch.
So you dabbled a little bit with the Dirac, and you have found that the Accu EQ is more enjoyable than Dirac, correct?
Correct. And it also based on that assumption, I am not a big fan because I think it's a marketing scheme, and I might be totally wrong, that the direct-based management aspect of it is not what the hype it should be. In other words, it wouldn't be worth me paying $300 for it based on what I've seen from live.
Okay,
that's just my 2 cents.
So, all right, I'm gonna weigh in on that. So here's what I'll say: it's not a scam. It's how do I do this? Okay. So I think in a few previous shows I've categorized receivers into 3 different categories. You have your high end, you have what I call mid-fi, and then you have what I call entry level, and then you have some that kind of skate in between. So Your entry level would be your Denons, your Onkyos, your Sonys, your Yamaha, your mid, and then Marantz is because of price point, not necessarily performance. Marantz is kind of doing an upswing into entry level mid-fi, and then once you get into mid-fi, it's Integra, Arcam, Synthesis. Actually, I would say certain parts of Synthesis, and then NAD would be another one, and I actually have a really good analogy on the NAD one. Anthem. And then on your higher end of the spectrum, you have, Trinov, Acurus, JBL Synthesis, Storm Audio, and then Audio Control. So here's what I'll tell the majority of the end users that are listening to this. And I may go back in and edit and rearrange this show to where this is first and the latter of the part is last. But I probably won't. That sounds like work. But anyway, what I'll say is for them to market things like Dirac and Anthem's ARC to the end user, the way they're marketing it is they are setting the end user up for failure. I'm not saying it takes extensive training to know what you're doing, but I'm saying you're not going to get the most out of it unless you know what you're doing. So I'll apply that to like the racing world, for instance. So you can go buy a Diablo tuner for Ian's Mustang, and Ian can put that thing in there and he can push the button and he can get 50 more horsepower on a performance tune, and he can go about his merry way. Or Ian can take it to an independent tuner, and that independent tuner can get him 80 to 95 horsepower, which is 50% more than what he was getting with just the set it and forget it, push the button. The way they're marketing Dirac is most people are doing exactly what you did. They're doing it through the app, which is silly. They're not using a Dirac microphone, which is not good. They're
they use the one they provided.
Right, exactly. And then some of these companies provide wonderful microphones, like Arcam, awesome microphone, NAD, awesome microphone, JBL Synthesis, amazing microphone. Some of these companies provide really good microphones, and then some of them are just like the Odyssey mic, just a standard microphone. So what I'll say here is there are a number of end users out there that share the same skepticism on this. And because in what I'll say is that you're tiptoeing into the territory. Well, if you you don't understand it, then you're going to crap on it, or you don't understand it, then you're going to blow holes in it, or you don't understand it, then you don't see the value in it. And rightly so. And because Dirac is not something that most end users have the attention span to understand. You have to understand sonic frequency. You have to understand curves. You have to understand what those curves mean, what the imperfections mean. You have to be willing to zhuzh your speakers here and there to get rid of some of the imperfections, and which I always suggest doing before trying to modify your EQ curve. You may find that moving your speaker a little bit to the left or to the right, or towing it in, towing it out, bringing it off the wall, can change a lot of room imperfections, which means I'm telling you to do physical movement. I've always been a belief, or had the belief of correct the room before room correction. A lot of times that graph that you're seeing, you can correct the room by moving physical speakers and adjusting physical speakers than trying to digitally move them or correct them. And I think that's the learning curve that that's the misconception people get when using things like Dirac or Dirac bass control or Dirac and all of those things. So in my opinion, at least you got the Dirac option with the Integra, whereas in the Marantz, you got to spend $400 right out of the gate just to get the regular version that you have. You know what I mean? So they don't give it to you. Whereas Onkyo and Integra gives it to you. Arcam gives it to you. JBL Synthesis gives it to you. There's a certain level of JBL Synthesis where they give you all of the versions. And even into the newer JBL that are about to be released are going to come with what's called Dirac Art, which is a blend of Dirac bass correction and Dirac Light. So in my opinion, they're not setting you up for success. Dirac and Arc are not a set it and forget it process. They're not. I would not advise any end user unless they want to understand and read about it, watch some videos on it, things like that, if you want to get the most out of your system, if you're going the Dirac route. Same thing with Arc. I feel the same way. It is not an end user product. In my humble opinion, and I'm different, I would say that these products do not need to be advertised or pushed toward the end user without the help of a professional, is what I would say. It's not the Odyssey experience. It's not the AccuEQ experience. It's not the Yapo experience. It's not whatever the hell Sony calls theirs experience. I think they call theirs spatial or something. I'm not sure what Sony calls theirs, but it's just not. It's not a on-screen GUI guide you through it. It's a very cumbersome process to set up. So with
that said, my next thing is I'm going to acquire the track and run Decibel X for the room correction and see what it points out that the room needs, and possibly installed sound absorption panels on the back wall.
That's always the best way to go.
What kind of
I would advise doing that before you run room correction, and that's, I'm glad you said that. That's the second thing I'm glad. So I'm glad you said it, because I always advise trying to correct reflections more than the other. The reason why the beast that we talk about, that's 10 feet away from us, not from you, it's 1,000 miles away from you. But the reason why it's so memorable is it's about 80% skill set along with 80%, it's a mixture of 80% skill set and equipment, 10% know-how, and then 10% magic. Some rooms are just magic. Some rooms
it's definitely got the fairy dust.
Yeah, some rooms they're just magic. You just get the right combo and it's just right. Don't freaking touch it. You know what I mean?
So good it makes rainbows.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, especially with Ian's eyes. I mean, correcting the room is always the best way to go. If you want to hear, a lot of people that complain about not hearing Atmos, like, the first question I ask, Atmos isn't worth it. And, as Matt Scarborough eloquently referred to it, was Dolby almost, which I love that. And when you have a reflective room, you don't hear your surrounds. You hear that they're playing. You hear that things are coming out of them, but you don't hear them playing.
Because they're swamped. Because all you hear is the reflection. All you hear is what's called room decay.
It's the same thing as if you were to go to church and sit on the back pew. You can hear someone's talking. You can see someone at the pulpit. So you have a visual. You have a visual confirmation that someone's talking. But then you can't hear them because it's muddy. And when you focus on room acoustics, that'll cure the muddiness. So, in my opinion, an end user really needs to rely on a professional to calibrate when it comes to Dirac and Arc and all of these super mid-fi higher end brands, and to get the most out of it. Because if you just run Dirac, it's not going to sound pleasant. It's not. If you don't, because all it's doing is it's using a what they call the Harman curve, which is flat, and it tries to keep it in the variation of flat. And then once it keeps it in the variation of flat, then congratulations, you just took your giant Martin Logan towers and you cut them off at 80 hertz. What's the point in having big speakers if you're going to cut them off at 80 hertz? So,
and I almost made a second failure because I was about to install more reflective panels instead of sound absorption.
You did,
panels
so
because I was swung a deal, but then then me and Justin had a conversation and he set me back on the right track.
So I love that you're having this conversation. I love that you're bringing this up because, again, what you are talking about is these are the things that most end users don't experience until they've spent a lot of money, and then they end up calling somebody like me, and then we have to tell them that there's no Santa Claus. You know what I mean? And it's like, cool, yep, you bought a Corvette, but I probably wouldn't put a trailer hitch on the back of it, even though it has 500 horsepower and torque. It could pull a load, but it's just not what it's designed for. And I see this a lot. And again, to your point, it's the way it's marketed. It's the way they bring it to the end user, and it's the cool logos and the cool T-shirts, and they have all these guys out there like Youth Man and everything else, and that are creating the buzz around it, and everybody's got to rush out and buy it. And that wasn't a slide against Youth Man. I saw a video of him this morning. A good video, by the way. That's not a slide against everybody. I think it's poor marketing. I think it's marketed to the wrong audience.
So in your opinion, do you think Direct's base management is worth the $300? Base control. I'm sorry, base control.
Once we get the acoustics is under control, then yes, I think it's worth $300 because let me ask you this. Let me just flip the script on you. What do you like about the Beast? Why are you trying to mimic it?
Because you can feel the bass, not hear it, feel it.
Okay.
Along with everything else.
Okay, so I'm going to let you in on a little secret. What you're hearing and feeling is bass management by Dirac. So that's what's called bass mapping. I am time aligning and mapping multiple subwoofers in a room to where they're in phase and out of phase, which, by the way, if you haven't flipped the phase of your rear subs, you should from whatever the phase is on your front subs. If your front subs are on 0, then you need to flip the ones in the rear to 120. And that'll make an immediate difference. But that's what it does, is it time aligns things in an acoustic way based on your peaks, valleys, and nulls. The rear seat's going to be the worst because you're sitting in the bass hot spot, and that bass hot spot is going to drown out the entire front channel. So there are some room physics and ailments that I've been trying to perfect that you keep fighting me on, but we're getting there. But that's the thing.
Move the couch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the move the couch thing.
And speakers, Ian, and speakers. He want to bring them closer.
I want to bring them closer in because I think they're too far apart. Which I do. I mean, that's true. That is the truth. They are too far apart. So, and that's what I'm saying. Is there things that I would course correct that would 100% make a difference in the room? Because the reason, and I'm going to go back to what you just said, the reason why you like the Beast is the Beast is correct. The Beast is corrected. It's time aligned. It's acoustically aligned. Is it perfect? No. There's still some imperfections that I'm working on with subsonics and nulls and things, but that's why you like it, is because you're hearing surrounds that you've never heard before. You're hearing Atmos like you've never heard it before. You're experiencing bass, not just audible bass, but you know, bass that you're feeling in your giblets. And so that's what I would say, you know, but you're what you've experienced with Dirac is 100% what most end users experience. The reason why things like what you have gets returned is because naturally they think something's wrong with it because it doesn't sound right. Well, I ran EQ and it doesn't sound right. Well, you ran EQ with Odyssey and it didn't sound right either, but you just didn't sound bad. So
but that brings up another point. Technology drives change. So, for example, my room was built in 2014. Now here it is. It's 2026, and I'm changed. I done touched everything in the room except for the wall speakers.
That's because you don't want to touch holes. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like, and but that's why. And to Ray's point, to Ray's point, that's why Ray hates wall speakers, in-wall speakers, because it's a permanent thing. But to me, if your in-wall speakers were in the right places, then we wouldn't be changing them. You know, we wouldn't be changing the location. I wouldn't be telling you to change the locations of them, is what I meant.
And look, think about it. When it's all said and done, we're getting rid of 2 of them.
True. Yeah. Well, because they don't belong there. They're not doing anything.
Well, no, because we're doing Dolby Atmos. But again, back to my point, technology drives change. So the room was built in 2014.
But Dolby Atmos existed in 2014. It was a cliche thing back in 2014. So here's the thing, Byron. We weren't sure back when Dolby Atmos was released if it was going to be a 6.1 thing or not. You remember when 6.1 came out, you know, vaguely. Most people vaguely remember it. You know, 5.1 was a thing, 7.1 was playing peekaboo, and 6.1, 7.1 were playing peekaboo. 5.1 at that point in time was the only thing that was genuinely sanctioned by the movie industry, meaning if you were buying a disc, it was doing 5.1. And even if you had 7.1, then it was simulated 7.1. It wasn't actually 5.1, or it wasn't actually 7.1. It was simulated, meaning there was no discrete coding for it. Your receiver was doing all of the discrete coding, right? So when 6.1 came out, 6.1 was just a rear center channel. Is all it was. It was to catch the delay of the front center channel, and it was put directly behind you in line with your center channel. And you, once again, adjusted the polarity of that center channel if you were getting that technical with it, if you wanted to. But 6.1 never made it to market. And so people were looking at 7.1 with the same scrutiny of, well, you know, the industry's only putting out 5.1, so why would I do anything other than 5.1? So I don't know why I turned into Walter Cronkite for a minute,
Kevin.
but yeah. Or Kevin, yeah, one of the two. No, Kevin was more high pitched like that. No, but yeah, that's what I'm saying is 5.1 was barely a thing, and when 7.1, it wasn't a sanctioned thing. And I remember when 7.1, I remember the big stink. It was 7.1 Dolby True HD, which was slightly more uncompressed, and then DTS HD, which was slightly uncompressed, and they had the native 7th channel. But the thing is there wasn't content for it. They didn't have disc that had native 7 channels until years after that. So that's what I mean. And so when Dolby Atmos came to speak, here's the thing. I'm going to give you a brain buster. Yamaha introduced 11 channels back in 2005. Yes, I'll say that again. Yamaha, of all people, introduced 11 channels back in 2005. They had something called the ZX11 AV receiver. And that's where height channels and rear height channels and wide channel, all this crap was on this thing. and you could mix and match and matrix, and you could do all of these things in here. And this was 2005. This was before the birth of even Atmos even existed. And they never did anything with it. It was there. You could buy it. There were people that had it, but nobody was cutting holes in their ceiling because there wasn't native content that supported it. It was more of an experiment. It was a native processor. So anyway, fast forwarding to your point, the room has changed because technology has changed. Yes, technology did change. Atmos was adopted swimmingly, and the only people that I know of that complain about Atmos are using streaming because it's not the full Monty. Yes, there's activity going across the speakers, the heights and mids. But there's not a native push behind it. Now, fast forward to 2026, there's been a native push behind Atmos for a better course of almost 10 years, almost since 2016, is when Atmos became a thing. And I don't build 5-channel rooms anymore. In fact, most manufacturers don't even sell 5-channel AV receivers anymore. It's either 7 or 9. So to your point, and heck, now there are some that are 15 to 20 to 24 to 32. I mean, they're just on and on and on and on and on. I mean, even another point to bring out is, don't let nobody confuse that a integrated amp in an AVR is better than putting external amps. Oh yeah, that argument's stupid. That argument's dumb. If you want to disagree with me on the show, call me. Call in the show, and I'll happily show you the math that variation does not work. It doesn't, especially when you're feeding it with streaming. But no, unless you're dealing with a all channels driven spec of somebody like NAD or Arcam or Anthem, Integra, somebody like that. Integra is even a weaker all channel spec, but at least they show you the all channel spec. But if it's 2 channels driven, 120 watts, guys, there's a reason why speaker manufacturers have minimum watts required. Most speakers require 30 watts or above, and that's why the reason they have a minimum watts accepted is for people that are using 11-channel AV receivers. They don't build them like that anymore. They don't make them like they used to. And so stop, I don't care what kind of digital Class G, Class B, hokey pokey they're putting in this bullshit. They're not making it like they used to. You're not, if you're not calling used to back in the good old days, you were calling a chiropractor before you moved your dad's Onkyo because it weighed 60, 70 pounds. You know what I mean? It doesn't do that. They don't do that anymore.
That Integra weighs 61.
Yeah, it is. And it's a big amp. It's a big amp. And you're still using outboard amps. That's what I'm saying is a lot of your push for needing more power has more to do with what you're feeding the amp with. In some cases, less to do with the amp itself. In the guitar music world, most of you end users can't handle 30 watts in a room for very long. You turn it down. I mean, I can take a 30-watt guitar amp that would run circles around your 140-watt Onkyo all day long, and I could still play over what you're playing, even at your stuff full blast, and I could do it at half mass because they build their amp differently. When home theaters started coming into Walmart, there's no way in hell Walmart sells a 1,000-watt soundbar that weighs 5 pounds. It just doesn't work. It doesn't happen. So here's what I would say before you jump into the mid-fi category. Do your research, talk to your pros, make sure you have a pro in your back pocket that can help you, because you may find out, like there's a gentleman. I'll end it on this unless Byron has something else. There was a gentleman that bought an NAD 758. This has nothing to do, there's nothing against NAD or the 758. He paid $2,500 for this thing. Okay. It's 80 watts, all channels driven, not a bad spec, high current amplifier, built like a horse, weighs 50 pounds. Nothing wrong with it. Has 3 HDMI inputs on it. 3 HDMI inputs. I don't know, a TV from Walmart has more than 3 HDMI inputs, okay? 3 HDMI inputs, all right? No digital zone 2 out. So no HDMI audio extraction for zone 2. Only RCA breakout. You can't even AirPlay or digitally stream to zone 2. So what the heck, is the point of zone 2? Oh, well, you can hook up an RCA from your cable box. I want a show of hands in a room full of 1,000 people. How many people's cable boxes still has RCA on it? No one. That's what I'm saying. So why is it $2,500? Because it's built different. The amp is better than but a $700 Onkyo would run circles with bells and whistles. But a $700 Onkyo would not run circles when it comes to performance. You see what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with that, Byron?
Yes. So with that topic, I'm gonna leave with this argument that we got to take up next week. My plan is on the new Anthem, I have an upgraded power cord that has 7 gauge power wire to each plug that's going to the surge protector, and also I'm gonna put the same one on the Integra. Will it make a difference? Well, we shall see.
Oh golly, you just jumped into a bottomless.
Yeah, I think we need to
You just jumped into a bottomless pit of lost there. That argument goes back to it will go from the end of time. And
but the physics is there, but the physics is there at a cost. So think about it. If you have coming from the wall socket, if you have more surface area for bigger wires going to, you got technically more power going there. Now what it does with that power once it get there is up to the user's ear and technology.
I have a rebuttal. Are you changing the wire that's going back to the breaker box?
No. So it's still, but technically speaking, the wire that's coming to the plug.
So you mean to tell me the longest
cable.
line? The longest run that's going back to the breaker box, you're not changing the gauge of wire, but you're changing the shortest. You're changing the gauge of the shortest run that's going to your component.
But it's not going to look. Technically, it's not going to the plug. It's going to the surge.
So here's what I'll tell you. Is power filtration a thing? Yes. Is shielding your cables a thing? Abso-freaking-lutely it is. Is better gauge of cable a thing over longer runs? Yes. Whether it sounds, does it make an audible difference? I don't know. That's
think about it also.
What Ian thinks.
Yeah.
I'm not spending $2,000 on cables. These are minimum cost.
Oh, there are power cables that cost more than all the cars and your bike sitting in your driveway. Does it make a difference?
We ain't going down that road. We doing the $40, $50, $60 type thing, okay?
Yeah. I mean, here's what I'll say. It can't hurt. Because you got to remember, the accessories a manufacturer puts in the box is based on margin of what's in the box. It's based on what it costs that manufacturer to put in the box.
It's why phone manufacturers don't put bricks in for charging your phone, because everybody goes out and buys something better.
Right.
Or has something better.
Yes.
Already has something.
Right.
It's like, why pay money to put a brick in the box that nobody uses?
Right.
And then Ian, they could use the thing that, our carbon footprint is smaller because we are not we reducing the amount of electronics we just putting out on the earth.
Yeah.
So here's what I'll say. Do power cords make a difference? I don't know. I mean, do speaker wires make a difference? Sure, over longer runs, yeah. Does an XLR versus an RCA make a difference? Yes, it does. Why? Because it has more copper in it versus a single connection that one's 3-prong, it's positive, negative, ground terminal.
And it's balanced.
That's why they call it a balanced audio cable, whereas an RCA is just positive, negative. So it doesn't have the grounding. But does it make an audible difference? Here's what I'll say. I've never regretted in my entire career using good cables. I've never had that regret. Is there a placebo BS effect that takes place at some point? Absolutely. Do I believe in a $30,000 speaker cable? No.
No, because it's going to be a reverse exponential graph. If you start off with the cheapest possible cable and then, like, say it's a $1 cable, and then if you go to a $5 cable, is it going to be better than 5 times? Absolutely. If you go to a $10 cable, is it 10 times? But you're looking at this graph, and if you get to the end, what's the difference between a $300?
I've never heard it said it better than that.
A $300 cable and a $30,000 cable, infinitesimal.
So the way people that sell cables do this, and the way I've told folks to do it, is if you're going to do that, don't jump one step up, jump two. So for instance, what Ian just said, if you have a $30 cable, a $90 cable, and a $200 cable, just go for the $200 cable. There's not enough difference between the $30 cable and the $90 cable.
Work your budget out. If you can budget for a $200 cable, go and buy it. It's part of the whole budget. But if you only want to keep the budget down, go with the 100 or the 30.
It's an indulgence. It's an indulgence. Here's what I'll tell you, Brian.
That's the kind of same philosophy I used. That's kind of because when I went, the stock cables are 14 gauge, and I bought 7 gauge.
Right. There's nothing wrong with having better gauge cable. And are you going to hear the difference? Maybe not. But you know what? When people look behind your stuff, they're going to be like, "Oh wow, look at the cable."
I mean, what's the power draw of the thing that you're plugging in?
Yeah. I can't tell you off the top of my head, but
but it's why you put big, thick old cables on a washing machine or a dryer, because they're going to be consuming more electricity.
High current.
And they're going to get hotter. So if it's a thin wire and it gets hotter, it could melt.
Yep. That's why they always tell you, don't go smaller than what you're using before by any means. And, but if you go look at a cable on a Macintosh amplifier, you could use it as a weapon.
But the thing is it plugged into the wall? And if it is, what's the gauge of the wire in the wall? Well, it's going to be 12.
12 or 14.
Well, mine is plugging.
I think it's illegal to use 14 now, but
14 for lighting circuits.
Yeah.
Mine is plugged into a surge line filter, but I have the same cable coming out of the line filter.
And that's the other argument, Byron. Most manufacturers will tell you not to use a filter with an amplifier because it colors the sound of the amp. Like Macintosh, the first page 2 of the manual, after you get past the how to open the box, which I don't understand why how to open the box is in the manual, by the way, but because you'd have to open the damn box to get to the manual.
It comes on a freaking pallet screwed down.
Yeah, but why would you can't even get to the manual until you open the damn box.
Schrodinger manual.
Right, it's the don't drink the antifreeze child. But on page 2, it tells you not to use a power conditioner or a filter with it. It tells you to plug it straight into the wall because they have built-in capacitors that protect the amplifier on its own, but do not plug it into power conditioner because it can change the color of the sound. Now, here's what I'll tell you, my experience of that stuff. So AudioQuest came out, and they did their dog and pony show. And no, it wasn't a donkey show. It was just a dog and pony show. With the price of it, it may as well have been. But so he did this giant power cable. He did power cable, interconnects, power conditioner, power cable going from the power conditioner to the wall, whole 9 yards, all that stuff. And I will tell you this. I liked one of the two better. I liked the power cable going into a standard plain Jane surge protector and then going out of the surge protector into the equipment better than I liked all three. Because to me, I did this with a really high-end audiophile guy, friend of mine. And I mean extremely high-end audiophile. And I brought him in because I wanted to hear if it was just me, if I was just looking at the logos and, and the bass went away. the more filtration we added, the compromise was the low frequency of the music that we were listening to. And we were listening to Dire Straits, I think, Night Love Song or something. I don't remember what it is, but it was a very interesting song. But the bass left. The bass was gone until we either had to do one or the other. We had to use the stock power chords with their filter, or we had to use our cheap, I don't want to say cheap, but our $80 Panamax power strip and their cables for the bass to come back, for there to be so there is some magic to it. I think, here's what I'll tell you. Here's my stand. Stamp it on the wall. You will not regret buying good cables. You will regret paying stupid amounts of money for cables. Unless you want to. If you got a $200,000 pair of Wilson Audio speakers and you want to put a $10,000 pair of speaker cables, you know what, brother? You go on with your bad self. Because what's another 10 grand when you're spending a couple hundred, right? So who cares? But if you're buying a $2,000 pair of speakers and you're asking me if a $3,000 pair of cables is going to make a difference, that's where I'm going to have to go silent on you. And that's the thing it's the argument that will last as long as time will last, that some people say it's snake oil, some people say it's bullshit, some people say they can hear a difference, some people say they can't. You know what? If it makes you feel good, you swipe your card for it. Go for it. Do it. Yeah. Absolutely.
Wait till you get to my age and you won't be a flying fig.
Well, because you can't hear it.
Exactly.
You can't hear it anyway. So, and that's a lot of my clients that come in here say, "Oh, I can't hear it anyway."
My main reason, Justin, is because, as you know, I've been victim of brownouts.
Right.
And so, to me, the high dollar equipment, that cord going into that surge protector, that line filter, just gives me that sense of security that, my equipment won't be affected by the brownouts or the surges that we have that destroyed equipment in the past, even though I found other reasons that contribute to that factor. But
so
you know what I'm saying? It's just a low cost sense of security.
Is this device a battery backup as well?
No, it's
so how are you protecting against brownouts?
Because it's a surge and line conditioner.
He has what's called sacrificial power, that if it detects a voltage that's underneath a certain specification to it, then it immediately shuts the receiver off.
So he's
not shuts the receiver, shuts the conditioner off, or it will damage the conditioner before it allows the circuits in your equipment. It's called sacrificial power is what it's called. So it lays on the sword before your stuff does. Because generators cause it more than anything.
Yeah.
If you have a generator and you don't have this type of surge protector in your home, you are just walking a tightrope with that. And
right. And
because generators do this worse than anything. They do this worse than your power company does it.
And also, my generators have soft start, so when it does switch, it just doesn't slam the power.
No, everybody needs soft start. You need soft start on your AC, your pool equipment, all that stuff.
It's a gradual increase.
Yeah, it allows it to gradually shut down or do what it's going to do. But yeah, we can talk about the boring thing of cable, but that's the end. I'm the worst cable salesman on the planet. It's like I believe in good cables, but I don't believe in stupidity. And it's I treat my cables just like I treat politics. I use common sense. If the math works, great. If it doesn't, then I don't believe in it. Here's the thing though. Here's what I'll say about your cables. It is the last line of defense that causes the biggest point of resistance between your speaker and your amplifier. So it's not going to hurt to upgrade it. It doesn't hurt to have nice things. You're not stupid for buying nice things. If you want to have nice things, then buy nice things. But whether it makes an audible difference or not, that's the eye beholder. Now, HDMI cables 1000% make a difference, but not the way you think.
Oh yeah, hey,
not the way you think. It's not the way you think. You're not going to see audio and video improvement on HDMI cables. You're going to see speed improvement. You're going to see handshake improvement. I don't look at a blank screen that says HDMI no signal for 30 seconds before my device comes on. That's where you see the difference. So
we faced that issue with the with the HDR movies coming from.
Oh no, you can measure that difference.
The cables, yeah, because the cables that I had wasn't freaking.
You couldn't run HDR. You couldn't run HDR.
It wasn't high speed cables. It was just setting up that freaking spinning. The wheel just kept spinning and spinning and spinning and spinning.
Yep. Nope. That's what it is. So that's what I'll say is there's nothing wrong with having nice things. Nothing wrong with nice things having you. It's just that's it. You know what I mean?
Are you winding me up?
Oh, did you have something else?
Yeah, but you asked me.
What do you got?
And I was like, I was just going to talk about a little bit of content because we've talked about all the equipment and all this.
Okay, go for it. What do you got?
For some reason this week, I've been pushed in the direction of Mark Wahlberg through. But anyway, there was a couple of movies and I hadn't seen the first one and they were advertising the second one, so I watched the first one 2 nights ago and I watched the second one
first
last
one of
night.
what?
The Family Plan. And if you haven't seen it,
Family
it's
Plan.
pretty good, entertaining kind of movie, but he's that kind of actor. I mean, he's not
guys.
Yeah, he's not.
He's just kind of chill. He talks like this. Hey
so
guys,
on the back
I think
of
it's
that,
a bad idea. Maybe we should wake up and go work out.
I'm not going to give anything away, but if you've already seen it, you probably
is it
know
new?
the plot. Well, the Family Plan 2 is.
Oh. All right.
And it's a
What's
good,
it on? It's a Prime.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
of course the Odyssey. The Odyssey's out now.
Well, that's the thing. We've got to go and see it.
Yeah, we've got to see the Odyssey. Everybody's kind of. People are saying great things. Some people are kicking it in the shins. The people that are kicking
not
it
many.
in the
It's
shins.
97% on Rotten Tomatoes.
The people that are kicking it in the shins don't understand what the Odyssey was. It's like, well, why isn't Achilles in the story? Well, if you'd read the effing book, you'd know why Achilles isn't in the story. It's because
they don't read the book because the book don't have pictures.
Right, exactly.
And
it's because the Iliad was the story of Achilles. It wasn't. The Odyssey is after the War of Troy. So read a book every now and then, won't you?
Well, it was. In fact, Odyssey was actually a poem.
I did not.
Did you know that?
Well, no, I didn't know it was.
Anyway, so following on from Family Plan and Family Plan 2, which was a good sequel, there was a couple advertised. I think they're fairly new. One's called Flight Risk, which looks like it's a straight to DVD thing where it's to do with a
The Wrecking Crew was another good one that was on there.
That my list. Really, and another one called Arthur the King, which looks like one of those feel-good dog movies.
Who plays Arthur this time? Oh, it's a dog movie.
The dog is Arthur, but Mark Wahlberg is somebody.
Well, I can't watch that one.
He's taking part in a some huge long race in South America or something.
If it has a dog in it, it's
a bit like a triathlon on mega steroids, and this dog kind of joins them on their journey. I don't know. It's that kind of feel good Disney type dog movie. I don't know, but on top of that, Amazon's coming out with a new season of Reacher.
Okay.
Yes.
I beg your pardon?
I said yes.
Oh. But just prior to that coming out, they're actually doing a spin-off called Neely, which was the other recurring character
in Reacher.
In Reacher seasons 1, 2, and 3. But she's got her own thing that's coming out just before. Like it's going to be.
And I saw the Lincoln Lawyer is coming back on Amazon, but it's only coming back for one season.
I haven't seen that one
yet. It's a great show.
I got a
it was a movie
TV
first
series
and a book.
Well, the Lincoln Lawyer was written by the same guy that wrote all the Bosch stories.
Yep. So the Lincoln Lawyer, right. Yep. And then there was
Bosch
a Matthew McConaughey movie, and then there was the TV. The TV show is actually better than the Matthew McConaughey movie.
Byron, sorry, cut you off a little bit.
Yeah, I got a series you like. It was a TV series, but it's on Netflix as it's 5 parts. Each part has like 10 episodes. It's called The Last Ship.
The Last Ship.
The Last Ship.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
I'm top character in the movie.
Or Ship Last. Could be Ship Last.
No, I haven't
The Last Ship.
I haven't watched hardly anything on Netflix, even though I've now got it. I still haven't hardly watched anything on it.
But this used to be a TV series on TNT, so they put it on Netflix and they took all the commercials out, and
Was
it's pretty. I mean, it's like 5 seasons. Pretty interesting.
Sounds
It's
like
kind of like
Gilligan's Island.
The
or
plot
something.
is kind of like the pandemic, where when the pandemic hit,
okay.
People call it red fever, but the ship was at sea, and they trying to find a cure, and they have all these different operations that's preventing them, and people trying to, but it's pretty decent. I sat down and watched all five parts of it, and it was like, it's real. It's kind of like one of these series that's kind of real. You can relate to it because we went through the pandemic. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah,
this is a little better.
He's breaking up.
yeah, he's breaking up a little bit. There was another one.
The only thing I've got listed for Netflix to watch is the third Knives Out movie called Wake Up Dead Man.
I haven't watched any one of those. I heard they're really good though.
Yeah, I've seen the first two. Daniel Craig,
It's brilliant.
He's a little bit like a bumbling French.
Wasn't there another one called Night Train that was done by the same director, but it was with Johnny Depp?
Oh, I don't know. But Knives Out,
it was the same type of murder mystery.
I mean, this is something going back to like probably last November, but I haven't had Netflix for very long, and I just haven't even bothered to look at it.
Gotcha.
And in talking about the Odyssey, which we need to go and see, and I think the one just over the road is probably the best one to go and watch.
Yeah, no, you cannot see it in 70 millimeter unless you go to Dallas or San Antonio. There's
can't
not
go
a
to San Antonio because they're flooded.
it's totaled. It would be either this one or Edwards Cinema downtown.
This
would
one,
be a good one.
Seems to have got a better kind of review. So,
Oh, really?
It was more booked. This one was more booked than the other one.
Yeah, no, it's really hard to see it right now. Like there's like a Christopher
Jeff,
Nolan is just kind of hit fire.
You saying none of the movie theaters in Houston is getting the 70 millimeter stuff?
No,
correct.
Projectors?
Nope. There's only two
Dallas and
sanctioned
San Antonio.
70 millimeter in Texas.
There's only 25 or 35 in the whole
and
country.
When IMAX was approached of it, again, weighing in without IMAX, when IMAX was approached with the subject, they said it's not. We're glad that everybody wants to see it this way and want to do it this way, but it's not a feasible thing that's realistic for us to implement all over the country.
I was surprised by how many different formats there are for IMAX. That thing I sent you the other day, it's like the actual film.
It's
size.
more square than rectangular.
Yeah, 1:4:3:1 or something.
Yeah.
And it's like that's almost back down to a standard TV picture.
Yep.
So it's like, well, why is
just
it
massive?
So, to make it widescreen, you just cut the top and bottom off.
I just want to see it on a big screen. Not. It doesn't have to be the 70 millimeter one, but I want to see it like on a giant, like a gigantic.
The standard 35 millimeter is like a 1 point something to 1 ratio.
When you go to Edwards Auditorium, it's it's tall. Like you when you come in that auditorium, you're at the top level and you have to walk your way down in the auditorium. I mean, it's a massive movie theater, but I don't know how big Regal is in comparison to that one, so I'm not sure.
Regal, you come in at the bottom and you walk right to the front, and then you have to walk up the back.
Yeah,
and it didn't strike me as being that huge.
Yeah, no. So I wanted to see, and I saw Avatar at Edwards. Okay. Avatar was good at Edwards. That was fun.
Well, let's go and see Odyssey over here.
We should go see it. Week. Yeah, we should totally see it.
And then we can talk about it next week.
Go see Michael Jackson.
I would rather not. He's dead. So no, it's fine. I've seen as much Michael Jackson as I could possibly want to see.
On the back of talking about Odyssey, I just actually ordered the IMAX popcorn bucket.
He says it's not coming in until November.
It's not here till November, but this version has you look in the viewfinder and you can see a clip of Odyssey.
Is this the one from IMAX?
Yes.
Oh wow. But so how did they failure to launch on that? Wouldn't they launch the bucket when the movie came out?
No, they launched this IMAX popcorn bucket, I don't know, 2-3 months ago, and it sold out just like that. Remember we were talking about it?
I saw two guys selling them on Marketplace, not that, but they were selling the Maverick ones.
Okay. Well, this one looks like an IMAX camera.
Right.
And when it came out, Ray was like, I couldn't even get one.
Right.
And then something popped up on something that said it's available again, and I thought, well, and clicked on it, and it says,
I wonder if some Chinese company copied it.
no, it's the IMAX store, and it's saying it came up with a thing saying you are in a queue to go into the IMAX store. It's like making out it was like
It was like buying Oasis tickets or something.
So eventually, this blue bar went across, and then it went in. It's like, yeah, I could go and buy it for $50. I mean, geez, that's expensive.
Yeah,
but
for a damn popcorn,
I have to support IMAX, so I'm
Did you buy
supporting
any
Ray.
popcorn to go in it?
No, I don't eat popcorn.
Oh my golly!
No, it's
All right.
We're gonna put it on a pedestal in the beast.
All right. Ian just bought a $60 popcorn bucket
We put candy in it.
for the
he don't eat
popcorn
popcorn.
he's not gonna eat. All right. Yeah, that's no, I don't eat popcorn.
Chips or crisps, as we call them.
Yeah. Good God.
Never seems to amaze me, Ian. Never seems to amaze me.
Did you buy popcorn to go in it? No, I don't like popcorn. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Ian doesn't eat popcorn. All right. I like this show. This show was great.
Oh, that reminds me.
It
One other
reminds
thing.
me of
One other
like an
thing.
AM radio show.
Yeah,
you
but
know,
we
today.
were talking about this.
Maybe
and we
what
were
I
saying,
name it is AM radio.
But we were talking about and saying here how we are like the Top Gear for what we're doing. Right. Did you see the Grand Tour is starting up again, but not with the three old guys who've all retired, but they've got three people from the UK guys.
Huh.
Now, two of them run a YouTube channel, which I cannot remember the name of, but it's to do with cars. But the third guy, and I guess this is like, you know, not stereotyping, but casting somebody in the mould of James May, who was Captain Slow, whatever. So this guy, and you may have seen him, he's a YouTuber, and he's famous for standing on railway platforms and talking about trains that come past. And he's like, it's just so, he's such a nerdy looking guy. I can't wait to see it. I just hope they don't try and imitate the last guys.
Yeah, they need to do their own formula.
But this is the Grand
that's where
Tour
Top Gear America
version
failed.
2. Jeremy Clarkson gave it the thumbs up, said, yep. And so it's coming soon.
So no May, no.
None of the previous three. They've basically gone off. Clarkson's doing.
Well, they're getting older. You know.
Clarkson's doing his farm thing. He's also recently had prostate cancer.
Oh.
The hamster, the small one, does a thing called Drive Tribe.
Yeah.
And he's still doing cars and motorcycles and things like that. James May does esoteric things like Japanese cooking shows. I don't know, weird shit. But yeah, so the Grand Tour version 2 is coming. It's still going to be produced by Andy Willman. Mr. Willman?
Same guy then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So... Look,
I love Top Gear.
That was the other thing.
That's all we had playing here when my heyday working here
Yeah.
between 2012 to 2016.
Well, Top Gear, when it was
that's all we had.
in its heyday on the, you know, the BBC or
Yeah.
whatever it was on, was great. I mean, Top Gear was a good move on from
Just a
it.
good show. You know,
the Grand Tour, I mean, was good move on.
Well, yeah, they had to because Clarkson had.
He got fired.
Well, yeah, he punched the producer or something. Like he got mad at the producer and punched him, and then they fired him, and then it wasn't the same. Then the other two were like, "Well, we're not doing this." If
It
he's
was,
not doing
it was like, it was politically incorrect for what he was doing when he was.
And then they tried to do the American version, and it just didn't. It didn't stick. Yeah,
How many fingers can I get down my throat?
Yeah, it just wasn't good. It just wasn't good. It just they tried, you know.
Yeah, but they actually tried. They did a different version in the UK of different people,
Right.
Of Top Gear, and it just didn't.
It just didn't have the. It
work.
just wasn't. It didn't have the formula.
So the,
you know.
the version 2 in the UK, which wasn't those three, and then the version 1 from the US, none of them really worked. And it was a chemistry, and that's why a lot of people saying, "Oh well, the Grand Tour version 2 is going to be no good because they're just going to try and copy the previous three." But I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Just have to wait and see. Yeah, let's just check it out. We'll have to wait and see on it. Trying to think what else I have, if anything. Yeah, Odyssey. Everybody go see it. Looks to be a good movie.
It's a good day. Let's get.
Byron's working on The Beast. And then Ian ordered a popcorn bucket that he won't eat popcorn in because he doesn't like
Because he don't eat popcorn.
Because he doesn't eat popcorn. And that's a great way to end the show. We have no idea what we talked about today. All the stuff about the music industry and then Byron's Beast. And,
miscellaneous.
Yeah, that's a great name. I'm just going to call this Miscellaneous. The show topic is
We'll have to work
Miscellaneous.
piracy into the title because of his lordship being on a boat somewhere.
Oh, with a pirate. A day with a pirate. Yes, a day with the man on the boat. Yeah. Wait, that could get the wrong kind of audience if we say a day with the man on the boat. Yeah, no, so that would...
I wonder, have we still got a man on the boat listening to us?
Where is the man in the boat? That's it. Where is the man?
Oh, he's off New York now again. He's off the coast of New York.
He must be on a cruise ship or a cargo ship that goes backwards and forwards.
I don't know. We got to get him on the show because to me, it would just be fun to get. Who is the man on the boat? The mystery continues. Yeah.
If you are the man on the boat, please let us know.
Justin, I got the title. Justin, the title is Byron's trying to find the man in the boat.
Hey, aren't we all, brother? Aren't we all? Aren't we all? Trust me. It's not for the lack of trying. It's for the love of the game.
Exactly. Don't hate the players, hate the game.